What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Seasoned Gaming Bitcast, episode 264. I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, joined by our usual cast of characters this morning. He's a 7, but he's a 9 in your heart. Mr. Rodriguez is back. Good morning, brother.
I'm ready to go. Get this thing done. Get in and out. Talk about some games. Go play some or watch some football the rest of the day. I'm ready to go, man. It's the best day of the year. I'm also, since last week I apparently, ate too much. I also brought peanuts today, and I have some EL fudge just in case. I want to get into it.
Brought a buffet.
It makes me so mad, and I'm here.
I try, guys. Audio listeners, I try. Every week I talk to Dan about this. Every week,
mostly for the audio listeners that I do it for. So
trust me, it's not.
I like to.
No, it's Dan ASMR. That's good. I mean, that's
exactly what it is.
You get the full experience.
Let's go.
All right. As always, looking dapper, the defender of everything IGN. Tie Guy Travis. Good morning, sir. Not
everything. Let it be known. I disagree with many things they do, but giving games review scores is not one of them. So nice to see you all. Good week, I think. Good week for gaming. I've been playing a lot of games. I'm excited to talk about it. Woohoo!
Yes. Woohoo!
Right. And also for people have been asking about my tying comments every week. So today we're joining Anakin on Tatooine in the pod races and his good boy Sebulbs.
That tie is wizard, Travis.
Yeah,
thank you, sir. Wizard is all heck.
And of course, the Hoeg himself, and I'm proud to say the host of Hangouts and Headlines is back, Mr. HoegLaw himself. Good morning, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good week. We did have our first live stream Hangouts and Headlines in a long time. I think when I was doing my organization on the computer, the last one was December 29th. So it was a while between episodes there. And we had a really good showing. A lot of people came by to check it out. And that was nice to see after such a long hiatus. So yeah, we're looking to do Hangouts and Headlines about once a week until I kind of get a feel for where my endurance is at on streaming and not running it right up to where I was at in terms of level last year. But it was a good episode. I was really happy with it. And we will be back, so I'm very excited about that.
That's awesome. And I think I speak for everyone when I say, don't push it. All right?
Yes, I get that a lot. I believe me when I say I am not pushing it. It's really hard. It's really hard, by the way, to do that, to kind of tiptoe and not jump in. Like, the episode went well enough this past week that I had like 3 articles I wanted to do the next day. And it's like, nope, don't do that. Yeah. Don't fall into your old habits.
I think you should push it because I believe in you, and I think you're good to go.
I'm trying to help. Travis and Dan are just, you see how they're doing this.
I think he's super strong, man. This guy is like a freaking superhero, dude.
I just want you to push it because I want to see what happens. That's really it.
I'm not touching that
one. Well, it is. It's good to be back. We had. I want to give a quick shout out before we get started this week to just all of our viewers and listeners from last week. Last week's episode, just amazing analytics on it in terms of both like hours listened and viewed. I think as of this morning, we were crossing 8,000 combined views and listens. Just a lot of engagement from last week.
A lot of hate watching.
I was going to say we did get more downvotes than usual, Travis, and I think probably yeah. But.
YouTube
no,
likes
it was good.
Both sides of votes. Vote how you feel, people. Up, down, it's all good.
Yeah, up, down, whatever. As long as
it's all engagement. And hey, you know what? I'm that bitch you love to hate. I don't. It doesn't matter to me at all. Truly.
But no, we had a lot of good commentary. Honestly, tons of comments. Obviously, it's almost always positive. You do get some negatives once in a while, but it was good. So thank you for that. Audio listeners, very high this week as well. So thank you for that. And I would just quick reminder on the audio side, as I say once in a while, if you could take a minute to give us a review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. It helps a ton on the podcast side. So would greatly appreciate that. In terms of this week, it's actually been a light news week. And I know I've said that before, and every time I say that, we go really long. But it really has been.
Kiss of death.
I know
kiss of death on these episodes.
So 4-hour show incoming. Dan and Hoeg are going to leave us to watch football midway through. But in all seriousness, today we're going to be talking through, obviously going to talk a little more about Starfield and the games we've been playing. But then we figured it was a good time to just talk about, kind of reflect on the year in terms of releases. Because as I was going back and putting this list together, I honestly had forgotten half these games released this year because there's just been so many. And then I figured I kind of wrote down some of the stuff from some of the classic years in the past that we can compare to real quick. We've got a couple Switch rumors, and Tokyo Game Show is starting to shape up as well 2 weeks from now, less than 2 weeks from now. So, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. So before we do that, of course, we have 2 super chats prior to going live today. So, of course, nearly 20 minutes before going live, we have Mr. Googleman, as always, coming in hot.
I love this guy. All right, Googleman, here we go. €5. I've been playing that Starfield game. Talked to a guard near at the Astro Lounge. He mentions a joke about an orphan and a platypus. Anyone know it?
No.
Don't know.
No, I don't. But no.
I spent a lot of time at the Astro Lounge, though. I haven't heard that one.
I did get the neon this week. We'll talk about it. So I know what we're talking about here. One thing that I have found interesting in Starfield, though, is just how often the people around you kind of feel alive and are having real conversations, and how many like little missions pop up dynamically out of that. I think that's really cool. So, but Googleman, thank you for the super chat. As always, appreciate you kicking off the show. And Volkus this morning was asking us how to do a super chat. His first super chat, he said he wanted to contribute this week. He or she, excuse me.
All right. With the $20 Canadian, dang it, Ho, will you speak her name this week? Thoughts on Ahsoka, if anyone's seen it.
Oh yeah, I've watched. I'm caught up on Ahsoka. Absolutely.
Me too.
I mean, we can talk about Ahsoka a little bit. I think it's good Star Wars. It's engaging. It's visually pleasing, as you would expect from a animation director, but not a lot has happened so far, I would say. So it's still kind of grade pending, but I've enjoyed my time with it. I worry a little bit about the tendencies of the Disney Plus shows to kind of waste your time and not get to somewhere satisfying, but I've liked it so far.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I like the episode so far, but it's been a little slow, and I think the fact that the next episode that comes out on Tuesday is being shown in theaters probably means this is where the season is actually going to start getting interesting. We'll see. I think it's gonna go places, but to Hoeg's point, some of these shows don't go as hard as you'd like. They can't all be Andors. I guess.
And even Andor was judiciously saving its episodes where they go hard as it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, Andor is top of the line for me. Andor is my favorite Disney Plus Star Wars show. Ahsoka isn't there, but it is in the pleasant, and I'm pleased to see it when there's a new episode right now.
It's better than Boba Fett.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Come on now.
Yeah, it's better than Boba Fett by a lot. That show I wasn't even
a lot.
I was like watching episodes a week late, like, I didn't miss anything.
The thing with Ahsoka, though, is, when you say that there's not a whole lot that has happened so far, that's okay when you fill it with eye candy that is lightsaber battles and, cool scenes.
Well, it's very visually oriented, right? It's a very visually oriented show. And I think that follows from like Mando 3. Mando season 3 was that, but I didn't like the storylines. It didn't connect very well, I didn't think, for me. Ahsoka is following a better, more directed storyline, however you feel about space whales.
Did you watch Rebels?
I think
I did watch Rebels, but I'm not the guy that can tell you what happened in season 2, episode 10, and that's a guy from there. So I recognize enough to be able to play along, but I'm not encyclopedic on Rebels or Clone Wars.
Yeah, we've been stopping every episode so that I can explain to my fiance exactly what happened in Rebels and why that matters. And she's just
I tell you what,
this is a lot.
The end of episode 4 is like, what now?
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to be cool. Yeah, that's a big old reference to Rebels. Anyway, we're talking about Star Wars. Sorry, Ains, we hijacked your show yet again.
I don't mind. I don't mind at all. I'm sure there's some people, probably not many, I'm in the minority, I think, who have no idea what you guys are talking about, and I thought that was pronounced Ahsoka. So here we are.
Oh no.
I just pronounced it Snips. So
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I know there's a show. I've seen a lot of people posting about the show, but I haven't watched it. I still haven't
If no
watched
one called
Andor.
her Snips the whole season, I'm gonna really be disappointed.
Is that a reference to an older show or something else?
Did you say they already did?
Yeah, like the first thing that comes out of his mouth is "Hey Snips." If you go back and listen to it, yeah, it's kind of hard to hear, but that's what he says. It's what Anakin calls.
I was rocking the AirPod mic again. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you sound better now. There you go. Yep.
Thanks, Playa.
Yep. No worries. No worries. Volkus, thank you for the first super chat. I appreciate you. Glad we got that hooked up. And welcome I can't speak. Arctic Wolf becoming a Seasoned Gaming channel member. Thank you very much. So we off and running this morning. How about I hit the right button and we'll be better? All right. Perfect. And I've still got it up on the screen. We're just crushing it today. I'll tell you what.
It's a good day to be an audio user.
Yep. There we go. All right. Anyway,
there's a lot of buttons, folks. It's funny.
There are, and I've got it in this little narrow thing. It's messy. So
I was talking about the buttons when I did Hangouts and Headlines. My parents asked me, "What buttons are you talking about?" I'm like, "Well, none of that is automated, right? When things pop up on the screen, when people move around, that's all me dragging or clicking, and so you have to do that at the same time that you're trying to speak in English for people to understand."
Yes. And then lastly, just before we get into the game conversation, I want to shout out Against the Tide, who moderator over on the HoegLaw side, does a lot of good work for us in terms of sharing links, just moderating. And then past few weeks, as we showed a couple weeks ago, has been doing some AI art of us as the panel, which was hilarious. Last week, I totally forgot to show the Starfield one as we had our Starfield conversation. So if you missed that, I'm putting it up on the screen right now. Audio listeners, bear with us, of course. But my personal favorite is Travis here. I love it.
Oh, man.
I mean, it looks just like him. It's identical, first of all. And then
he doesn't even have a tie. They didn't even keep that. It's so upsetting.
You want a space tie?
Yeah.
It was floating. It was getting in your face in space, and so that
made of aluminum or something. I don't know. If you want to keep it retro futurist.
And then preparing for this week, we went Minecraft theme this week, Tide, for some reason, but I still love it. And Travis has taken on. Travis, you went from kind of delightful bewilderment and wonderment to angry banker in a week.
Angry banker, I don't know how troll. Yeah. No, I was commenting before the show that all three of the other guests look like jacked Minecraft heroes, and I look like an ill.
You're the enemy. You're the bad guy in this situation here, Travis.
Yeah. Well,
you're like a young Lex Luthor with hair.
I think AI has a problem with me. I think we're teaching our AI to judge certain people. I don't know.
They have a tie at least here, so that's good.
We need to keep an eye on that AI for the future. We don't like the direction they're taking.
So, yeah, my tie is also not squared, which I find odd. You know what I mean? Like that would have been a pretty easy Minecraft. Like nothing about me is Minecrafty except for my glasses. I have a round nose, like everything's round.
I don't know. Your head is pretty blocky.
Yeah, your head is.
Yeah, but that's accurate. They didn't even change that. Yeah.
Eleanor said Travis looks like a Matrix universe villain.
Yeah,
that's great.
I look like the bad guy in the children's animated version of the Matrix.
Oh man, great! Thank you, Tide. Appreciate everything you do.
They call me Agent.
All right, so we'll jump into what we've been playing. We'll get to Starfield because I want to have a little longer discussion about Starfield again to continue what we were talking about last week. Yes,
he's got an appetite for Starfield conversation.
I do.
We were on a different show this week to talk about the same stuff we talked about on Sunday.
Sure. Although mostly we talked about game review methodology, which you and I have done.
Yeah,
for a number of hours.
To be clear, that's like a hobby of mine. Is talking about game review methodology, explaining it to people.
But playing this week, so I know I don't think you can talk about it yet, obviously, Travis. But Liza P review coming this week, right? You said you've wrapped that up. So when's the embargo for that one again?
The embargo actually moved up. It was previously on September 14th, but they moved it up a day for some reason. So now it's on Wednesday, September 13th at 8 a.m. Pacific is the when the embargo lifts. My review's fully done. That's been a big one I've been playing. I'm also working on some other stuff. I'm already on my review in progress of Payday 3. which I can talk about because it's in open beta, so it's not under embargo or anything. But you know, the goal is to give like an early impressions type review and progress piece, since I'm going to be reviewing that. But the open beta has surprisingly a small amount of content. It's just one heist, and supposed to be 8 in the main game, and then also none of the story is there. And from what I can tell, only a very small piece of the progression system as well. So it's probably going to be a pretty short review in progress, but I'm going to be writing that today. And then I'm also doing a preview on Airport Simulator, a game where you manage an airport.
I used to love Aero.
Should be fun.
You manage an airport like kind of building the airport structure, or you manage it in terms of like flights coming in and out and airlines and stuff? Both. Okay. All right. Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Yep. You're simulating the airport, Hans. You ever wanted to make an airport happen? There you go, buddy. You got it. Honestly, they put me on these because I just, you know, I've sort of become the guy to do it. I did the farming simulator last year, and then I did the construction simulator. I've just sort of been the guy who takes these on, and they always do super well because Europeans are weird and really like the simulator.
Those games are bigger than people realize.
I like Random Simulator. I had a great time with Power Wash Simulator. I like the ones that sound like, how did you make a game out of that?
How'd you make a game out of that? Yeah. Well, this one, I'll be excited to talk about Airport Simulator once I've played a little bit more and once the embargo on it lifts. But
now,
working on stuff.
As someone that doesn't play Payday, you said that there's no story yet. Is there a story
Beta.
in Payday?
There is.
I mean, like, is there?
Yeah. The story in Payday 2 was not super well told, but it definitely had a lot more than Payday 3's open beta has. Because, like, if you read the description for the game, it's like, oh yeah, pulled out of retirement after crazy events, the Payday team is back, and it's like, okay, well, none of that was in the beta, so clearly that hasn't been added yet. You just sort of hop in and it goes, here's a bank, rob it, and you're like, cool, all right, this is Payday. So I think they'll do more than that. Obviously, Payday 2's story was one of the weaker parts, and the voice acting was like horrendous in some of those missions.
I have to be honest, I just assumed that the game was, here's a bank, rob it.
It sounds
it sounds like it'll either be like that, and I'm giving it too much credit about how much they're working on story, or I mean, I just have to wait for the full game. But the review in progress is basically going to be focused on the improvements to the gameplay and how much more complicated heists are versus the last one, and stuff like that. And I can talk about it. It's not an embargo. Basically, it feels very similar, but the gunplay is much better, like a lot better in Payday 2. So I'm excited to hop back in more today. I've also been doing a bunch of Starfield guides. Last night, I documented every starship you can buy in Starfield and put it into a table for our wiki. It took forever. It was like a 5-hour project. I was up until 2 a.m. doing that. So that's
Hi, guy Travis does data entry.
Exactly. Because he flies to every planet in Starfield without playing the game, just loading screens, landing, talking to a spaceport vendor. So that
you know what that type of guy looks like? He looks like this.
He does.
That's what he looks like. Yeah.
He looks like he's doing it for the love of the game. He just loves
spreadsheets. By the way, Parker Sims says Airport Simulator. How obnoxious can I make the TSA?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I will be able to answer
you have to find that out.
Yeah.
So I can't talk about it too much yet, but for those who have been interested in the Crew Motorfest, kind of Ubisoft's attempt at Forza Horizon, if you will, I talked about it a little bit when I was in the test period for it a few weeks ago. It actually, the main servers go live at midnight tonight for the full game, and there's no embargo. So I think, based on what I read out of the press email to us, that you're going to see sites kind of just popping reviews up at random times. So if you are interested in the Crew Motorfest, it's going to be one of those where just like information's going to come in from all over the place because there's no like embargo date time.
Well, my understanding is that the game releases for money like today or later today, or maybe at that midnight for the early access.
Early access is tomorrow, yes, officially. And then 14th, I believe, like Thursday or Friday is the core game release. Yes. So yeah, so that's why I guess you'll see more of that come up. I'll talk about that more next week. Like I said before, I was impressed, especially, I've said a million times, I'm really into car games and racing games, and I was pretty impressed with what Ubisoft had delivered here. It's beautiful, played super smooth. It's obviously, it takes a ton from Forza Horizon, but it also does a few things that Horizon didn't, which I was surprised to see. So keep an eye on that one. If you like those types of games, check it out.
Do they have like partnerships with car manufacturers like Forza Horizon, or do they just
same thing?
Their own? Oh, they do.
Okay. No. There's I want to say there's somewhere around 400 or 500, and they have a good mix. Like they have some really legendary cars in the game. I took some pictures of like the McLaren F1, right, and cars like that. And they have a Porsche license, so they do like licensed events. So they have like a Porsche event in the game, which is really cool. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and it takes place in Oahu, Hawaii. So you're driving around the tropical island, and they hide stuff all over the island. It's very similar to what in terms of that.
Yeah, it's an interesting time for a game to be set in Hawaii.
No kidding. Yeah, no kidding. What have you guys been playing? Anything else? I'm sure you've been.
Yeah. I mean, I think I say every week that I'm continuing playing Diablo 4, which I really love. There hasn't been a session where I finished playing Diablo where I haven't been happy with my time. So Diablo 4 is one of my top games. I was also
What level are you now, Hoeg?
I am playing my seasonal character, right? So that started at the end of July, and I am 54.
Okay. I was just thinking we should co-op sometime, but my seasonal character I didn't play enough. I think he's still pretty low. But anyway, just wondering. Yeah, man, only 300 hours. I barely touched that game.
Yeah, so I just continue to love it every time I turn it on. I'm also playing, I think I mentioned this, but I'm not sure, the making of Karateka.
Yeah,
we didn't talk about it last week, but
play it. It looks so good.
It looks very cool. Yes.
Yeah, so this is one of those, I think they're calling them gold editions from Digital Eclipse that follow the Atari 50 celebration model, where it's essentially a documentary with the games that they're talking about available to play. And Karateka is a game that I remember playing on my Commodore 64. So it's been nice to go back and see that. And they do all these interviews with the maker, Jordan Mechner, who you might know better in the audience as the maker of Prince of Persia. Karateka is kind of like Prince of Persia 0 if you've never played it. You can see that it's leading to Prince of Persia, and especially Prince of Persia 2. But it's just a really well-done game experience thing. And from a business perspective, since I like to talk about the business of video games, I just think it's a really smart way to capitalize on older properties that maybe wouldn't sell on their own.
Yeah. It's described as a playable documentary, and I think that's a brilliant idea.
Agree.
Yep.
The more I read about this, I haven't played it yet, but the more I read about it, I was like, this is amazing. We need to do this
I have
more
it
often.
installed. I just need to I need to get to it.
It's great. They have one of my favorite bits is they have like a podcast guy that analyzes the musical themes and talks to you for like 20 minutes, just talking about the music of the. I mean, like they go into every little detail. It's just really, really nicely done.
Awesome.
So I won't give away more because some of it is kind of discovery and finding out what they've got. But they've got documents from like the 80s from Broderbund writing letters to Jordan Mechner while he's in college and things like that. So it's just a lot of fun to dive into.
I want to play it. So cool.
Yeah. So I'm playing that, and Jedi Survivor this week got a pretty massive patch that for me turned around how I felt about the performance of the game. Jedi Survivor performance mode now is like butter. You can just play it and it all works like you'd want it to have worked at launch. And yes, I know that would be great if we got it like that at launch. But to be honest with you, it's also been a good progress check for my hand because when it came out, I think, what is that, April? I really had trouble with it a lot, and I'm still having a little bit, but it's a lot better now, and so that's nice as well. So I've been playing Jedi Survivor, Diablo 4, Making of Karateka, and then I think this last one that I will mention is one for all you Starfield fans out there. It's got a growth curve. It's got lots of things to invest your time in. It's absolutely fantastic. It's Fae Farm.
Nice. That one's cool.
I got press emails about that one, and I have no idea what it is. So, do you want to give us the rundown?
Yes, it's a 3D Stardew Valley with magical elements. So there's fairies and
Cozy
magic.
game, Ains. Right up your alley.
It's a cozy game. Yes.
So let's get a copy for Dan. He can give us a review in a couple weeks.
No.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of people making or trying to make these kinds of games, and they sometimes can come out a little bit janky, a little bit broken. This is a very polished kind of approach to bringing Stardew Valley with some magical elements, a color palette that is that kind of purples and pinks and deep reds and things like that. And I just think they did a really good job with it. Now, I am somebody that likes Stardew Valley, and I am someone that likes farming games and life simulator type games. But I'm only mildly joking when I say if you like Starfield, you should look at this because it's got all of those progression elements. It's got all of the kind of faction quests, side quest trees to go learn various aspects of their systems. And it's just a really pleasant game to play. Hoeg, this is important. How do they spell Fae? Asks the chat. They spell it like that, Sardanisms. F-A-E.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Fae Farm.
Fae Farm. Yep. All right. Well, there you go.
On the cozy community, FYI. That's a pretty big release for that fan base.
Oh, yeah. In all seriousness, I do like that Hoeg, especially you and Travis, and because of the kids, of course, that you are able to comment on some of these games that we otherwise wouldn't. So thank you for that.
Hoeg because he has kids, and me because I play children's games. I think that's the
checks out.
I'm always looking for things for my daughters. And we got 2 games yesterday that they were playing. I wound up playing Fae Farm more, but they also played a game called Lemon Cake that they really liked.
Oh, that's a great game too. The baking one. Yeah.
Yes.
It's cool.
You own a pastry restaurant that is haunted by ghosts that teach you how to bake pastry.
I just love that there's room for Mortal Kombat 1 and then there's room for these Lemon Cake game, and I it's just so fascinating to me, and I get to see that world a lot because my fiance plays a ton of those games, and it's pure joy, man. I love seeing the diversity in this space.
I was literally going to say the same thing. Yeah, you said it well. I don't need to even comment, but I totally agree. There's room for everything. It just shows how kind of big and abundant the industry is now, and I think it's awesome that those types of options are out there for everyone. So
sometimes
cool.
You don't want to slay demons.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes you want to bake them a cake.
Dan, are you still full bore on Baldur's Gate 3? Is that train slowed down at all?
Nope, I'm pretty much. It's funny because that and Hitman 3, they released some new content. I just jumped back in and got some stuff done. Of course I did, because it's my favorite live service game.
All right, so I like the reference, by the way, Dan. Yeah. We need a poll on what year Dan will stop playing Hitman 3.
It's the year that they stop putting out new stuff for it.
I don't even think that's true.
Yeah. It may not be true. That may not be true. But I did play some. Damn it! What the hell?
He's switching over to James Bond when they release James Bond eventually.
If they do a good job with it. But yeah, I mean, it was just basically like a suit. It looks like it's like a Nathan Drake, like with like the scarf and the. I mean,
okay.
Wait, the update was just cosmetics that drew you back in?
No, I still jump back into it every week because I'm still not at level 100 in Freelancer. It takes forever. The grind is outrageous. So I just, I'm like,
man, I'm playing Diablo for like a new flag for my horse. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I get you. But yeah, I jumped into that, played a little bit more of that. It's just, they just basically add a challenge and then you get something for it, either a weapon or, and usually it's something like reskinned. But it's fine. I still enjoy Hitman.
Can I ask you a question, Dan? Because I was reading an article earlier this week, and it was comparing the Assassin's Creed Mirage contract system to Hitman 3. Did you see this, and did it interest you at all?
I did not see that. Like in what way? Like is it?
They're doing some missions that are essentially enclosed spaces. Here are some toys. Go get that guy.
Oh,
that seem inspired by a Hitman kind of style.
I think I just saw Dan come to life a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to get Mirage anyway, but I mean, it was. I didn't know. I have to go read that because I didn't see anything about it.
Okay,
I mean, that's awesome. If they want to, you want to learn from the best. So I mean, obviously, IOI is the best. So, good for you, Ubisoft, and shrinking it down. So yeah, I'm excited for Mirage too. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, mostly it's been BG3, and it's way too much. I am now on my third playthrough. This is the Dark Urge playthrough. I have nearly it's like Horizon Forbidden West, like levels of time into it right now. So I'm still finding new stuff on my third playthrough, and I am one of those people that tries to be as thorough as possible with what I do, and it's insane, like how many areas that are out there that I missed, how many stories. Just talking to random people on the street will open up a whole new quest line. For the most part, I felt like I'm going faster through it because I kind of know where to go and some of these. But even the choices that you make early on in the game really, really change your outcomes later on, and it's going to be really hard for another game to dethrone it as my game of the year. I mean, I just don't know if it'll be able to happen. Even with, like I said before, with Spider-Man 2 coming out, and I'm a huge Spider-Man guy, I don't think it's going to come close. Well, what Larian did here is, I mean, I know everybody, there was that little controversy like, oh, don't make this, your standard. And I understand that. Nobody's telling you every game has to be Baldur's Gate 3, but gee, many Christmas. It's nuts, man. I mean, it's creeping into like my top 5 of all time games that I've ever played. And it's just really, really good. So yeah, it's gonna be on that. And it's cool. Another thing that's cool, my son got it, and we're kind of comparing our playthroughs and stuff. And like, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, there's stuff that I still haven't seen. And I'm just like, what, she's like, oh, that's this guy that, he's got gold all over. I'm like, what? I mean, I played through that area like 3 times already. I said, I've never seen this, and sure enough, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I think what they did here was, they kind of changed the game a little bit for now. I know the CRPG genre isn't huge, unfortunately, but I think just from just like that top tier, like AAA game, I mean, I don't see another one touching it for quite some time, unless Larian does Baldur's Gate 4 in a very short amount of time.
I doubt it, given the period.
Doubt it.
Well, that's good, man. That's good.
That's
I was really digging it, and it's just one of those games. There's just I got pulled aside for other games, so I hope to put some more time into BG3 for sure. It's
amazing. It's a really good PlayStation implementation.
Good.
I presumed a really good Xbox implementation. I just mean console-wise, it's really smart how they've made it work.
Yeah. And they did confirm, if you missed it for whatever reason, they did confirm it'll be on Xbox before the end of the year, which the end of the year is rapidly approaching. So it won't be too long there either. Someone asked, Travis, I don't know if you can say it. Siddharth asked, did they implement in Lies of P any of the changes that requested from the demo? I don't know if you can say anything about that or not.
I cannot, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Look for my review on Wednesday.
Look for the review on Wednesday, Siddharth. And Exiled Punk, shout out to Exiled Punk on the Hoeg side. He was asking about Lions and Chiefs smack talk, and he said he's a Chicago transplant living in Overland Park. So he is a neighbor to Dan and I. Yeah, he's a Dan.
I've been a Lions fan long enough to not engage in smack talk on basically any results. So very good game.
Are as Bears fans, man.
Happy to be 1-0. Well, the Bears have been in the Super Bowl twice. The Lions have won 1 playoff game in their history.
That's true. They are the Lions. Yeah. But yeah,
the Lions
I'm also from Chicago. Yeah. They're right over.
All right. Before we get into more Starfield conversation, let's catch up on these super chats real quick. And I've got a member comment as well from good old Sardanisms. Said, if Matrix was an anime, the My Name is Neo line would be identical, except his eyes would glow blue. Matrix is live action anime. Talking about you, Travis, of course.
Yeah, obviously.
Thank you, Sar. Good to see you. And we got a couple super chats to catch up on.
Oh, geez. The days for $2. I was looking over here at the chat. Which sells more, Starfield or Mortal Kombat 1?
Now on paper,
sells multi-platform. Yeah.
I was gonna say on paper, this sounds tough. I think long term it'll be Starfield for sure. Maybe out of the gate MK1 only because it's on PlayStation as well. But
yeah, MK1's on PlayStation and not on Game Pass, I believe.
And Starfield isn't selling copies, excuse me, necessarily. So
true. Also true. Also true. I kind of had this similar bet with our buddy over at the Nerd Chat, Wally, because he bet me when I was a guest on their show earlier this year. He said, "What's going to sell more, Starfield or Diablo 4?" And I said, "Diablo 4, no question." And he got mad at me because he's like, "It'll be Starfield." I'm like, "No, it'll be Diablo." But yeah, I can see MK1 also, for those who may not be aware, Mortal Kombat is maybe more popular than you realize. Mortal Kombat 11 has sold like 16 million copies or something like that, and
old people play that game.
Hey,
old people,
seasoned people.
Yeah,
I'm just saying they come back to the game space. A lot of them who don't really, game as much anymore for Mortal Kombat. It's got a huge historical audience.
Strong IP. Yeah, it's a very strong IP. So, yeah, I think it's going to do great, and we're going to talk about that because it comes out this week. It's so close.
I'm very excited to play it.
Me too. A lot of days. Thank you.
One does. This is news to me.
Comes out this week.
All right.
Yeah, comes out this week. Yeah.
Friday. Siddharth, back in the house from India.
With the 2000, is that rupees? Is that what we're doing? All right. Thank you, Siddharth. Starfield really highlights the problem with expectation of pacing in giant RPGs. In my opinion, the game is really good for a Bethesda game, but the first 30 hours is just bootstrapping my mindset on what the game is trying to do. P.S. Still loving the Armor Core 6 a lot. PvP is really fun.
Every time I see AC, I want to say Ace Combat, so it's all good.
Kind of similar.
By the way, he also followed up, Siddharth. I saw it earlier. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it, but he said that right now his game of the year is between Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
yes,
both great games.
Yeah. So
Battle of the Titans.
Yeah, we'll talk a little more about this in a second. I got one more super chat to get to, so we'll touch on this, Siddharth. But for me, because I know, Travis, you talked a lot about this from a review perspective of the early hours being slow. And for me, like, I got through that intro with Constellation, which was a couple hours, but then I just went off and did my own thing, and I've been loving it. I don't really need a big lead in to get me hooked to a game like this. I just start doing my own thing and enjoy it as I go. So I think it depends how you play the game.
I will say his comments will be enhanced with a more driving beginning. I've talked about this in the past, but one of my favorite beginnings in video games is Mafia 3.
Just
explodes at the beginning, and then it just motivates you for like half of its running time.
Yes.
So I think Starfield would be slightly stronger with a more directed beginning, and I do think the front end of the main quest line devolves a little bit into go find rocks over here, over here. And that maybe could be improved pacing wise. But yeah, I think the way you're supposed to play these games, and I always hesitate to say, that there's a wrong way to play them, is that you're just supposed to decide what to do kind of randomly. I guess I'll do that. That sounds interesting. And then you go do what you think sounds interesting. So I never had a problem with it feeling slow at the start. I really didn't. But I do think just the walking around the mine and cutting rocks out and some of the early stuff maybe could have been a little bit stronger. The person that says Final Fantasy 16 also explodes at the beginning, that's absolutely true. When that title card drops, you are ready to play Final Fantasy.
I was for about 2 hours, and then I wasn't.
Hell yeah. I still need to get back to that one. I really like what I played so far. I will say I see a lot of people talking about like expectations and versus who likes the game and who doesn't like it. And absolutely, expectations have an impact on what you're willing to forgive in the game. I would just say some people blame the expectations thing. I think really it's just your personal preference and your slant or what you like in games or what you're willing to forgive in games. And that exists for everyone. That's personal preference. It's why this medium is so incredibly subjective. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? As long as you're kind of going into something knowing exactly what to expect, and you can judge for yourself if you're willing to forgive it. And reviewers are typically chosen to review the games that they do because the game is targeted at somebody that likes those things or is more okay with them. So Yeah, expectations are definitely a big part of whether you're going to like something.
It's, I know I go back to this game a lot, so apologies in advance, but we heard a lot of the same complaints about Elden Ring, right? It's like you do that 5-minute early dungeon and then you open up that door and you're just like, okay, go. And a lot of people kind of complained of like, what the hell am I even supposed to be doing? Like
another one I was talking about with the IGN team this week was how divisive Red Dead 2 was for a lot of people, and that's another really good one because like as somebody who went into that wanting like a Western fantasy where maybe things take a little slower and that's kind of part of the charm, and then other people who are just like, yeah, that game bored the heck out of me. We have people on the team who think either of those things. Like I'm like up there with Red Dead 2 is probably a 10 out of 10 for me. I didn't review it, but Tom Marks, the deputy editor, he was like, I hate that game. And I'm just like, wow,
I'm
like, it's crazy.
Red Dead 2. I have real pacing issues with Red Dead 2. Absolutely.
I know. I don't
at all.
The Western genre. I don't care about
it. It's easily a 10 out of 10 for me.
I love that game.
Yeah. God, it's funny, but you're right. You're right.
By the time you're out of the snow, I was ready to quit.
Yeah, see, and that's it's a little bit,
and that's fine.
Expectations, a little bit is personal preference, and whether you're willing to.
Well, and then let me advocate for a game like Starfield, right? Red Dead 2 has the issue of you're trapped, right? You got to do those things. You're never advancing. It's a linear game. Starfield is do what you feel, man. And to me, that's easier to find the fun in.
I think that's fair as well, Hoeg. And that's what I do in these games for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think they're both great.
I think that, I can enjoy both. It honestly depends on what I'm enjoying about the core mechanics of the game. But Siddharth, thank you again. Very generous super chat. Appreciate you. Good to have you hanging out with us from India. Always love to see that. And one last one before we get more into Starfield real quick. WW
with $5 super chat. Rick, you might like House Flipper, especially for the times where you just need to slow down and take a minute. I definitely recommend the Steam version.
I got House Flipper for my girls, and they took my Steam Deck away for like 2 weeks. So they love House Flipper to death.
Nice.
Awesome. So
look at those little capitalists growing and learning.
Oh, boy.
Growing and learning from House Flipper.
Mostly decorating, but yes, also growing and learning.
It's not all about capitalism, Mr. This guy.
Isn't it? Isn't it? You'll ask us where even more.
I haven't played House Flipper. I would take it's exactly as described. You're just decorating and tuning up houses to sell them and make a profit.
Yeah, you buy a house to flip, and then you mow the lawn.
Buy low, sell high.
You mow the lawn, you fix it up. Different people have different requests for you. They are, but the game is fantastic, and it's one of those games that was successful enough that they have really significant DLCs pretty often. So, like every couple of months, I buy a DLC, and then they go off and flip more houses.
Nice.
They're going to be entrepreneurs.
There you go. There you go.
Watch them grow.
Debbie, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Thank you, everyone. All right. So a little more on Starfield, because it's the majority of what I've played this week, trying to get more time into it. And as I think anyone who knows with Starfield who is enjoying it, it's very easy to lose time in that game. That game just sucks away time. So I did start I forget the name of the company. What you guys told me to do, which
Ryujin Industries.
Thank you. So I did kind of start down that path. I started just doing my own side stuff as I always do. But I've done 3 or 4 for them now, where you're breaking into stuff and uploading secret files, and I love that stuff, the kind of espionage. So I'm loving that.
It's the cyberpunk game inside of Starfield.
Exactly. Yep. Which again is what I enjoy. So
it's probably the weakest story in the faction quest line, but the actual quests that you go on are super fun if you enjoy like stealth and social encounters.
Yeah, Ryujin gets a little repetitive if you mainline it, but you won't.
Okay. No, and I don't mainline stuff. No.
I did. I just wanted a job in Starfield. I was so happy I finally could work in an office. Just wanted a normal job.
It's funny because all the Constellation people will comment on how they don't want to be in an office building if you walk them in there.
They will, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
They also comment on how they won't judge you. Everybody lives different lives here. We don't judge. And then if you join Ryujin, they all hate you. They're like, "How dare you?" Like, what? Come on, bro. You said you wouldn't judge me. And then,
Yeah, so I've been enjoying that. I did a long run on the Crimson Fleet quest line as well, and then I've just done some random exploring. So I am finding. I wanted to talk to you guys about kind of the skill tree approach because I know you talked about this, Travis. So right now I want to get to. I think it's the science tree where you get space suit, weapon engineering, and like
everybody has trouble with this part. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm working down there, obviously. So if you don't know, I created my character as Amos in the Expanse, and I'm playing the character like Amos would kind of play, would respond to people, etc. So I've also done some physical stuff, weightlifting to help with encumbrance and stuff. But I am simultaneously enjoying exploring planets and scanning and finding fauna and life and all that too. So to your point, which I know you mentioned earlier, and I'm starting to discover more as I put more hours into the game, it's like, you know, you really do spread your skill points thin in the early game, trying to get all these things. So I'm working through that now, but it doesn't bother me because I've always looked at this game as a game that I'm just going to put hundreds of hours into, right, over time. So I think that character kind of development is working for me for the most part. But yeah, I just continue. I was talking to, well, you know, we were on a show the other night, Travis and I were Friday night, and I was talking to some of those cast members over at Xbox Infinite about the game and talking to some friends on online and the Seasoned Gaming crew. And what I do find fascinating about these types of games, kind of like the Baldur's Gate or the big RPGs, is that someone will mention something like, oh, did you see this? And it's like, no, I didn't see that at all. There's so many different things you can get involved in and find and enjoy, and you can play the game. You know, I know people who have 20 hours just building starships, right? Because that's what they like to do. I haven't spent any time doing that. I like crawling around through the cities and taking people's stuff and breaking into apartments, which someone else may never do in the game. And I just love the sandbox. I guess the best word is sandbox that Bethesda has created here. And I think that in that vein, it's a pretty incredible game so far.
Does Sarah Morgan hate you yet? You've been
heck no. I told you I'm gonna break her, man. She's cool. She's gonna be my girl. Don't worry about it.
I don't know about that. We'll see what decisions you make. You're breaking into things. She's pretty judgmental.
I will say, just like all these games, I've already told everyone to leave me alone. I don't have any followers. Like, I go do my own thing. I don't like people.
I don't know.
I
keep getting the impression that Travis is really just kind of jilted by Sarah Morgan. Like, he really wanted her to like him.
Yeah,
like,
she hurt him. She hurt him.
Negativity is just kind of the pigtail pulling in third grade.
I wanted her to keep her promise that she would let me live my life, because she says that as soon as you join Constellation, and then she immediately starts judging everything you do for your entire playthrough. And I was just like, Sarah, you're a liar. All right,
you lied to me. Stop you from living your life. She's still allowed to judge you for it.
No, she left.
You somehow lost Sarah Morgan?
Yeah, she can leave your party permanently. And I was like, cool, don't let the door hit you. She dips, dude. She straight up just
doesn't happen to me. So let's.
I know. Because you're lawful good, you narc. Yeah, no, if you're space top, you're gonna get along with Sarah real well. But
I didn't know she could leave, because I assumed, and no spoilers, please, of course, but I assumed that the core people in Constellation were there no matter what. That's what I had assumed. Okay.
Go ahead and go into space outside of New Atlantis and start attacking UAC ships, and you'll watch half of your party members leave pretty quick.
Interesting.
Well,
that's kind of cool in a way, though. I think
it is cool. It is cool. Yeah.
All right.
Well, how are you doing?
Travis took his own approach to Starfield. Well, I still really love Starfield.
I like it. It's pretty good.
I think the interesting thing for me is that I've really kind of grown attached to Cydonia, which is like the least built up city. It's the one that most reminds me of the Expanse, or like what seems to be a kind of near future approach to what a base might look like. It's the one on Mars, and in lore, it's like the first off-Earth base that humanity built. But I really like that approach. It's got like announcements like you're at Sci-Fi Disney World all the time, because they're doing like mining under the ground, and I really like how closed it is and how sciencey it is. Versus, I also really like Neon, but Neon doesn't feel like a real place. It feels like you're in a sci-fi fantasy world.
Here's the point I've gotten to in the game, which this is 200 hours versus fewer hours. I now have decided that I want to like do things like scan all the major planets. And so, speaking of Neon Hoeg, I found out that the if you go to your scanner on Neon, you're like, there's 2 fauna on Neon.
That's what it
really?
says, yeah.
How do you do that? And then I found out, oh, you just jump into the water, and then you can scan fish.
Oh, I didn't know
Neon's
that.
water. That's how you get down there. You just jump in the water and start scanning fish.
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
love Neon. I randomly had a conversation with somebody that worked on the electrical grid at Neon. I mean, that you get those kinds of fun experiences.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
In that city.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of quests from security guards that are refusing to help the citizenry. So there's a lot of fun there in Blade Runner land, but it doesn't
I love
feel...
that Hoeg is just playing the game like a documentarian. He's just walking around like talking to people, learning about their lives, and just
and you can, right? I think that's
I know. That's
another
so funny.
Another plus for the game is it has that complexity in it where if you enjoy that type of thing and just pulling on strings, if you will, right, to see where it goes, you can do that. It's cool.
I'm currently working on trying to figure out what everybody's religion is. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. There's at least 3 major religions that I know of, and I feel like 2 of them are boring as heck.
You worship this space snake, do you, Travis?
Hell yeah. Bro, if I'm gonna have to worship something, which like not my style, let's be real, but like if I'm gonna have to, Space Snake is top of the list, bro.
We got a couple of comments here that I want to bring up. So just for fun, of course, Darth Max says, I laughed when I was approached by someone who offered me an extended warranty on my ship.
Very funny.
Which is great.
Yeah,
there's a lot of like, there's a lot of little jokes like that. Ade says, have you guys met Juno the AI? I have not.
Awesome reference.
Yes,
really cool.
Juno's Gambit is fun.
Okay. Don't spoil it.
Yeah, no spoilers here. Don't worry if you're listening. Yep. I have not, so I will look for that, Ade. Bizzle, my brother, he said, still having crashes in Starfield. It's always strangest time. So I mentioned this briefly last week, but Bizzle and I were talking offline. So he is one of the few people like me who, from the start, has had really bad crashes on Xbox. I forgot to mention that Xbox actually reached out to me this week, and I am working with Bethesda's QA on identifying what's causing the crashes. So they took some of the diagnostic information from my console. I gave them a bunch of info, and I'm hoping, because what Xbox told me is that their crash rates are super low across the board. So the reason they reached out to me is they think that because I'm experiencing it a lot, I may be able to help them identify what's causing, the some that are out there. So I'll keep you posted.
Crashes.
Yeah, and I think most people are. So anyway, we'll see if anything comes from that. I sent over Bethesda's QA all my diagnostic information, I want to say on like Thursday, and I will just update on the show. But anyway, Bizzle, hopefully there's an answer in sight for us. I will say on PC, it's still been perfect for me. I've had no issue. But on Xbox, I tried again. It crashed within 15 minutes again. And I was like, all right, I can't do this.
In my experience and the experience of those who were playing during the review period who now have like a ton of hours is that, there's still occasional crashes. Things tend to get a little bit more unstable the longer you play, but it's nothing crazy. Like I think my game crashes like maybe every 8 hours or something like that. And I'm pushing my file a lot. And Ebontis, he had a crazy glitch happen on New Atlantis where the floor disappeared and it will not come back no matter what he does. But his solution to that is, the New Game Plus kind of fixes your save file a little bit. It resets your entire galaxy. And so I think that that's sort of an out. And people are kind of discovering the joys of New Game Plus because there's a lot hidden behind additional play after you beat the game. So it's pretty cool. I probably will get to that point where I have to do a New Game Plus because I want to see what it's up. I hear some cool stuff. I still have
apparently New Game Plus in this is actually a true New Game Plus. Like there's new interesting stuff.
No, you get a starship. I had to document that.
Cool.
You get a starship when you do New Game Plus, apparently.
Bizzle, thank you. So I'll keep you posted, and then and everyone listening and watching, I'll keep you posted as well as what I learned from them. And then Debbie has a question for us, which is, what would you say the minimum age is for Starfield? Her 8-year-old keeps bugging me to let them try.
You can play it at 8 for sure.
Pretty young. Yeah, it's
pretty young.
It's not doing ridiculous stuff. Even when we talk about things like the Astral Lounge, it's mostly like primetime television.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
It's not bad at all, and there's not any like crazy cursing or gratuitous violence beyond what you would expect in a normal shooter RPG.
Yeah, and honestly, you can just kind of get lost exploring You can play it, in that kind of way too. So
just make sure that if you do get it for your kid, Debbie, you must mandate that they take the trait kid stuff when they start. That way they'll have parents to bother them in the game as well. I think it'll teach him how to take care of his parents when their parents are older, because he has to put away a little bit of his money to the parents in their advanced age. So I don't know. Sounds like a pretty
I always
good
say with kids,
habit to start building.
You should watch them play it for a while so that you're comfortable with the content. But I think you'll be fine. I really do.
Yeah, of course. So I hope that helps, Debbie. And then shout out Older Gamer, good friend, Go Kings Go, became a member over on the Seasoned Gaming side. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. So yeah, I don't know, Hoeg, if you want to say any more about it. I've kind of said my piece of where I'm at, and I'll continue to kind of update as we go in the weeks to come. But
I mean, the only thing I would say, because I think it's worthwhile to say, since Travis and I are often on the versus side of these things, is that while I like Starfield perhaps more than his institution and maybe even more than Travis, I don't know. I do agree as I go along with certain aspects of the clunkiness, especially with respect to the big systems, right? Starship building and outpost building is just super fiddly. Like, you have to really want it to get in there and understand what's going on. And a lot of time is spent almost doing a job, Excel spreadsheet style, figuring out how you're going to do these various things in a way that I'm not a game designer, but I feel could have been streamlined in some form or fashion to make that experience more fun. And so the people that like really wanted to do that and love that part of that, giving it a lower score than maybe me, I can understand, even though it doesn't affect my score so much, because what I want to do is those stories and quests, which I think are basically top of line, with maybe Baldur's Gate 3 as the exception in terms of argument. But I really do think that those systems are a little unwieldy at the end of the day. And I don't know that, Ains, you and I have really dived into it enough to kind of make that criticism. I think some of that comes up with what Travis says and what IGN says and some other folks say.
This is exactly why I said last week, and I'll say again this week, I'm not commenting on score or anything like that, because I haven't played it enough. Even at 35, 40 hours, it's not enough for a game like this. And I'm very vocal about that. I had the same arguments with people about Cyberpunk and Elden Ring. And it's like, you can't play 100+ hour game or a game of this scope or size and make a definitive opinion on it after a couple hours. You just can't. There's too much at play. So I'll continue to kind of give my feelings as I go. But I do agree with you. I only very lightly dabbled in the shipbuilding because I wanted shielded cargo, of course, because I'm thieving and doing stuff. And even just like updating my cargo and moving that around, even that, I was like, okay, this is a little clunky. Outpost building doesn't interest me at all. So
outpost building, I think, is worse than shipbuilding by a lot.
Well, yeah, unless I'm forced to, I'll never touch it. That was my
It's part of the story.
Well, there's manufacturing.
Is it really?
There's manufacturing kind of quest concepts.
Yeah, there's like a quest step where they're like, get 5,000 of this mineral. Only way to do it is build an outpost, and you're like, no. Yeah, so it's a little.
No. That's where Fallout 4 lost me. Like, as soon as they were like, oh, you need to update this town, I was like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I just don't care. So I guess we'll see when I get to it.
I agree with Hoeg's kind of early warning signs of what might end up being something that he likes less. Even with that, Starfield is an 8 for me, having seen pretty much everything in the game now. Like, I think it's a great game, even with some of those shortcomings. And but they are legit problems. And if somebody else says that they affect them more, and so therefore it's a less good game to them, I think that you should at least try to understand that and accept it, and not shame them or think that they're up to something or have some agenda. It's just,
no, there's a mechanical clunkiness to systems in Starfield that could really kill it for somebody, and I understand that. It doesn't for me, though.
Yes, I'm one. Exactly what you said, Hoeg. It doesn't for me either, but I can definitely see it. So, yeah, and Dan, we were talking before the show, but Dan is obviously on the Baldur's Gate 3 train, and with Phantom Liberty coming for Cyberpunk in what's about 2 weeks as we're talking right now. Sounds like you're just going to hold off for a bit on the Starfield dive in.
I think I don't know. Yeah, it's insane this whole year, and that's what we're going to talk about. I want to do it. I want to play Starfield. I've always enjoyed Bethesda games. It's just there's so much right now, and there's so much coming that I want to be able to give it like its proper, due. I don't want to jump into it and then have my be distracted by something else.
The one thing I will say in Starfield's defense on that is that it does play because of how in-depth the faction storylines are and how deep some of the miscellaneous quests are. It does play a little bit more like a compilation of short stories, so that you can play, I think, a little bit more simultaneously than I thought at the front end. And that's very similar to a Skyrim or other Bethesda property, in that you're invested in so many things and they have to journal so many things that basically you're not going to be just taken over by whatever the main thrust of the game is, like you might in a different title. But I think it's best to wait it out between like a Cyberpunk Baldur's Gate run and Starfield. So I just want to say, if you wanted to play it, I think it would be great. But if you don't, I think that's fine too.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do. And I think, I know I will. I think once, maybe after Spider-Man, I'm also hoping that maybe, I'm sure they're going to have patches at the, up until that point.
Of course.
And anything that'll, any little minor things that I really haven't heard of a ton of.
No, it's really good for a Bethesda game, especially. Right. It's really good.
I don't know when the mods will start hitting, all that kind of stuff. I'm okay waiting. Normally, like the FOMO would get me immediately, but for there's just so much, and then we'll talk about that. So it's tough, man. It's tough to just get anything. There's so much this year. It's just been insane, and that's from somebody who is over probably the last 2 or 3 years. My gaming habits have shrunk to a lot more specific games. Like I don't go out and buy everything, and I don't need to play 15 different games. And it's a reason why I don't have Game Pass anymore. It's just because
I'm taking strays here.
You're taking what?
I said I'm taking strays here.
Yeah. It's just like I wish I had more time. And there wasn't something like a Baldur's Gate 3 right now that is just so enormous and has so much replayability value, and I've really, really gotten into it. I'm at the point now where I've just discovered what Critical Role is. Most of my
He's gone down a path.
I've gone down a path, man.
Can I recommend Lawyers and Dragons instead?
Lawyers and Dragons, it's another one that pops up in my feed now. A lot of Joe Manganiello.
And I recommend not D&D.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about this at the very front end of discussing Baldur's Gate 3, but if anything, I think I like the world and some of the zaniness that they have in their Divinity series more than they have in Baldur's Gate 3. There's a certain disconnect between the way Larian likes to write and what Dungeons and Dragons requires of them.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of D&D, but hey, Dan, if you're ever in the Bay Area and you want to play a tabletop RPG, I'm your guy. Just last weekend, we played the Alien RPG, which is fantastic. If anybody's
like
curious.
Alien, as in the IP Alien.
Yes. Sweet. And they do a cinematic mode where everybody's characters are pre-generated with the expectation that almost everyone will be dead by the end of the session, and it was nice. It was awesome. It basically recreates the movies like perfectly.
Did anybody yell "Game over, man"?
Yeah, no, but there was a moment where somebody got injured, and then the entire group found out that they were an android. The white milk came out, and then things got real bad for everybody. It was sweet, man. It's a really cool game.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, but yeah, I get it, Dan. I think Baldur's Gate 3 to Starfield to Cyberpunk again with 2.0 and Phantom Liberty is a lot. One thing I find is, even with the breadth of games that we all play here, going from big open world RPG to big open world RPG to big open world RPG can kind of drain you a little bit. So yeah, I don't see any problem with waiting, especially with your Cyberpunk and Spider-Man love. Just wait, because it does start to dry up by end of November, holiday season.
Right.
So that Starfield could be a perfect holiday game to carry you through,
I think that's what's going to happen, and I'm totally fine with that, because I haven't had any spoilers. I haven't had any, like big. It's one of those games that I think there's so much in there that it's kind of almost hard to spoil. Like I'm sure there's obviously main story points and stuff
more, because you don't know what other people have seen. Right. Ains played 20 hours. His 20 hours probably were largely different from my first 20 hours.
Sure.
Which is awesome. That's a credit to the game itself, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm ready for it, man. I'm definitely excited.
Well, yeah, so that's where we sit on Starfield. Like I said, we'll continue to talk about that in the weeks to come because it's that type of game. But yeah, definitely really enjoying it. I do see some of the shortcomings, as I said before, but the benefits of the game world and model outweigh those for me for sure. But with Starfield now out, and this upcoming week having multiple big releases again, which, again, continue for the next couple months, thought it'd be a good time to just look back on 2023 because a few of us have mentioned how we think this is probably the best year for games ever. And so I wanted to kind of go through. There's a lot of stuff that's come out that I honestly totally forgot came out this year because we've just had so much.
Hogwarts Legacy?
Yeah. Which was my game of the year at one point, right? I love that game a lot. But yeah, we're going to quickly go through these. Feel free to stop me. Obviously, as I always say, when we do this type of rundown of releases, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be a game you love I don't mention. This is not every game that's released. This is just some kind of highlights, if you will. So just bear with me. So remember in January, which seems like 4 years ago, Hi-Fi Rush was dropped at like a 90 meta secretly all of a sudden. So that came out in January along with Dead Space Remake, another hugely a very highly regarded game that we had been waiting years on. That dropped. Monster Hunter Rise, released last year for the Switch, but released this year for PC, PlayStation, Xbox, of course, and another very highly rated game. All jokes on Monster Hunter aside, between me and Elu. We finally got the GoldenEye remaster, which had been rumored for a very long time, and of course, Forspoken came out, which I think kind of went by the wayside.
You're including for completeness.
Yeah, exactly.
I forgot about Forspoken.
I think everybody did. People did. Yeah,
I had to think for a little bit about what game you were talking about. I was like, Forspoken.
Yeah. February hits, and we get the remaster of Metroid Prime, which I know was highly beloved by the Metroid fans out there and many people. We got Hogwarts Legacy, which both Travis and I reviewed, and there's a bunch of games in here I think you reviewed, Travis, that have probably even forgot. But Hogwarts Legacy, which we both rated very high and really loved that game. Atomic Heart. We had Like a Dragon Ishin. We had Gran Turismo 7, which...
Oh my God, that was this year.
I forgot about. And Octopath Traveler 2. And let's not forget that PlayStation VR 2 also launched in February.
No, wait a minute. Gran Turismo was definitely not this year.
Yeah, I was about to say, that seems...
Oh, was that that might have been PC launch. Is that PC launch?
Or PSVR 2?
No.
Let's
see here.
I don't know. It's been out for a while.
I feel like we were talking about that last year or something.
I told you I'll mess some of these up. So, all right. Give me a little break. Give me a little break here.
T7 was last year. Okay, great.
Ruby has taken over for this particular search request.
Yeah, it was last year. Sorry about that. It must have been Gran Turismo 2 is on the list there. Sorry.
Oh, no.
In March, we got Wolong, which is the Souls-like game from Koei Tecmo, which I've honestly forgot about. And we also got Resident Evil 4 Remake, which sadly I'm hanging my hopes on being listed in the Game of the Year race, which, the chances of that are looking slimmer by the day. But I'm hopeful because you guys got me bad with Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah, you're screwed. You're so screwed. Not having BG3 on your list. Ooh,
I know. And April started the really kind of stretch where we got. I wanted to bring this one up. I know it's not big, but I know you reviewed it and loved it. Travis, is Meet Your Maker came out.
That's a great game.
Yeah. Minecraft Legends came out, which referencing our Minecraft pictures. We got Dead Island 2. Which both Travis and I reviewed. That came out as well.
I like that game a lot.
No doubt. Star Wars, Jedi Survivor, of course. Which is up there as well. Cassette Beasts, a little indie game that I was very highly regarded and people loved. We got Burning Shores for Horizon Forbidden West, of course. And just a small shout out to PGA Tour returning. I know I'm a golf game guy, but it was cool to see that return because it had been like 7 years since that game had come out. In May, we got Redfall. keep your jokes to yourselves. We got Redfall. We got
Redfall. Forgot about that one too.
Enough said.
Redfall and Redfall.
We got Midnight Suns, which you guys loved, and I know many other people.
Oh my god! No! That was
last
Suns
year.
Came out
Damn it! Was that the Switch?
December?
Was it the
on
Switch?
Switch.
Could be.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It was in
Damn it.
December, so it still counts for this game of the year contest. Technically, it's not.
There you go.
Get shouted out, but
You saved me, Travis. That's what I was thinking when I wrote this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got Jeff Keighley.
Of course, we got
He
Tears
watches
of
our podcast, so we definitely.
He does. Yeah, I talked to him last night. Never mind. I had a lot of jokes just jumping in my head. I'm leaving that one alone. Yeah. We got Tears of the Kingdom, of course, which is going to be a front runner, for Game of the Year, and of course, the right alongside Tears of the Kingdom, we got Lord of the Rings Gollum. So that was in May.
They'll both be on that list,
of course. Of course,
they have about as much of a chance as Resident Evil 4, I think.
You better cut it out. So June hits, and we get just crazy games in June. So we get Diablo 4, we get Street Fighter 6, we get Final Fantasy 16, the three kind of trio there. We also get Dave the Diver, which Travis reviewed and is very highly rated. And we also got Ghost
put on his list as well.
Hey, man, it's one of the most highly rated games this year.
I'm telling
you.
Resident Evil 4 is rated higher, so thank you.
Yeah, but it's an old game.
It's not liking your chances. That's all I'm saying.
I don't like my chances for that one either. I think that was a tactical error. But hey, if Silk Song comes out this year, I get to swap Dave the Diver for Silk Song.
That's right.
I'm looking pretty damn good.
Well, yeah, I don't know if we're going to get that, but we did have that agreement, right? We can swap Silk Song for any game. So we may have a mulligan there, maybe.
You guys better pray. I am not playing Oxenfree 2. That's not.
No, I think Ains is losing. Like Ains is gonna.
I know. I'm in trouble.
His
that's for
list is
sure.
looking pretty rough right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to make him play Spider-Man 2 all the way through. He'll love that.
Yeah,
I mean,
Spider-Man 2 is not even going to be on the Game of the Year.
Spider-Man 2 is not a game, I would enjoy in terms of Spider-Man, but there are way worse games than Spider-Man you could make me play. So if the punishment was Spider-Man 2, I'd be
that wouldn't even be that bad. I could think of 50 games that I reviewed this year that he could play that you would play Testament, man. The Order of High Human. That would kill him. Choo Charles is like 90 minutes though. That's not even that fun.
Perfect.
If I make him play Testament's like a 30-hour game that's not enjoyable the entire
By the way,
like, I would kill him.
And we did not set a cap on the number of hours, did we? We just set a game.
We did not. Said he has to play a game. So I'm gonna pick something that hurts you the hardest.
I'm not losing. I'm
gonna choose Destiny, and you just have to play it for the next like 10 years.
I also put Ghost Trick on this. I believe we talked about that. I thought one of you mentioned it. Okay, yeah.
I mean, Ghost Trick came out a decade ago.
Came out a decade ago.
Well,
yeah. It's still a really good game. Yeah, and it was also the first time I played it. I missed it. I don't know what I was doing. I was sleeping.
That should be our Game of the Year criteria. When did Travis play it?
There you go.
Yep.
Fair enough. July, we got Pikmin 4. Yes. We got Remnant 2, of course.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
I hope people don't forget about that game at the end of the year.
Don't forget about Remnant. And of course, we got Oxenfree 2, which is the game Dan will be playing here in about 3 months' time.
Nice.
This is where I tell Dan that I liked Oxenfree 1 significantly more than Oxenfree 2.
Ooh.
Wow,
Dan, you're in trouble.
Listen, I've played.
What if Dan loves it?
What if Dan's
like, oh, this is what they were missing for me?
Yeah. Somehow I doubt it.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Like we go through all this, the punishment Dan loses, we make him play Oxenfree 2, and he just ends up loving it. That would be kind of funny.
What if we changed his entire life? Like him being forced to play an indie game finally like broke something in his brain, and he was like, "Oh my god, I now love indies." And then he just went around playing Dave the Diver and
Fae Farm.
You kind of look like Dave the Diver. Damn. Oh, think about it. He's got the goatee.
Maybe it's Dan the Diver.
Dan the
there
Diver.
You go.
Have you ever scubaed?
No, I've never scubaed. I don't think I could scuba.
Yeah,
I mean, I would go through my oxygen in like 10 seconds. As fat as I am. I tried snorkeling once at like 280, and that was rough for me. So
Dan, you just look for bubbles down there. They, if you swim
just
through
swim
a
into the
bubble,
bubble.
it instantly refills your oxygen tank. Everybody
Very
knows
true.
that.
Very true.
All right, good to know.
August hits, and we get, of course, Baldur's Gate 3. We get Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Immortals of Avium, Armored Core 6, of course, and Sea of Stars, all just released here in the last few weeks.
Yep, Sea of Stars is on my list.
That's true.
Yeah.
You do have Sea of Stars on your
Hoeg's
list.
got a pretty strong list. I think Dan's is stronger, though.
All right. And we've got, obviously, Starfield just released, which is where we are at this moment. Coming the rest of September, we already talked about Mortal Kombat 1, Payday 3, Crew Motorfest, Lies of P coming this week as well. Yep. And then, of course, Cyberpunk 2.0 and Phantom Liberty later in the month as well. October's nuts.
Can I just say, I hate that they call it 2.0. Typically, that's reserved for the sequel. The sequel should be 2.0, right? This should be like 1.2 or whatever. I don't know.
How is the sequel a version of the first game, though? I mean, like, this is, I'm the lawyer here. I write software licenses, but you have to be very specific about versions, updates, and sequels.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. Like Destiny, when they went from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, the Destiny 2 software, which had a lot in common with it, was the 2.0 version. And then later when they did Beyond Light, which a lot of people speculate was supposed to be the beginning of Destiny 3, it became the 3.0 version. And so usually it's like, at least in a lot of modern game design, they save the full version for the actual like next version of the game if it's in the next series. So it's a little weird to have Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 to me. I just, I'm probably
I get it. I understand. No, I think you have to keep those allowed to specify versions and updates, because otherwise you lose a lot of resolution on what you want to call your patches.
Yeah, I think the system I've seen is like if it's a major update, it would be like 1.2, and then before that it's 1.1.03 and 1.1.04 or whatever. But yeah, I think sometimes the versions are used as a form of marketing, which I find really weird. Like they use it to be like, oh, it's so big, it's basically the second version of it, and I'm, I kind of just balk at that because it is just marketing. So I think.
You know what 2.0 version we need? Anthem.
I knew that was coming.
We need it.
Yeah.
Still waiting on it.
EA's not going to give it to you.
No,
I think it got a 2.0 technically.
No, they were working on 2.0.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, then
they canceled
put
it.
the kibosh on it.
Anthem. October could be the best month of the year, shockingly, with Assassin's Creed Mirage, Forza Motorsport, Lords of the Fallen, Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Wonder, Alan Wake 2, and City Skylines.
Oh my
2.
God, October. Chill.
I was waiting for you to get to Alan Wake.
Yeah, well, Alan Wake's our cover game this week. That was a little shout out to you, Hoeg, because I know how excited you are for it. But yeah, October is
our story this month over at IGN.
Yes, it is IGN first this month as well. But yeah,
you guys need to I downloaded Alan Wake Remastered because it was free, right? So I have only played maybe like the first 2 missions.
Okay.
I think I got to an island or something.
Hold on, Dan. You never played it original?
No, never did.
Wow.
Never did. So it's in like right now. Obviously, there's Baldur's Gate 3, but I'm trying to make myself jump into Alan Wake Remastered to see how I like it, to see if I want to get Alan Wake 2. So I need convincing. Like how scary is it? Number one, because I think okay, fantastic.
The story is worth it. That's really all you need to know, because the gameplay is not going to sell you.
I mean, if you're 2 chapters in, and
this was again,
I don't know if there's more I can tell you.
Like a year or 2 ago is when I jumped into it.
Oh, interesting.
Remastered only came out a year.
No, not the remastered. I had Alan Wake.
Oh,
the original game. I don't know how. Maybe Game Pass. I don't know where it was, but I had the game, or I bought it and I never played it.
It was a game with gold at one point.
Yeah,
I believe like years ago. I mean, it's an older game, so
yeah, it's really old. I never played it, so I was like, I'll try to play it. I can't, didn't. I don't know if it really clicked with me or I was just playing something else. But I'm trying. Like, how long is it? Is like can I knock it out?
15 hours?
Yeah, I would say 14.
15.
You can burn through it. pretty quick.
It's a couple hours an episode.
And then there's a believe it or not, there's an Xbox Live arcade game if you go way back that came out as well called Alan Wake was American Nightmare.
American Nightmare,
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Which was like a separate little story in the universe, if you will. But no, Alan Wake, it's not super scary, Dan. I know your sensitivity to scariness is very high.
It's mostly jump scares.
It has a few jump scares. Yeah, it does have a few jump scares. But it's not like some people call it a horror game. I don't think it's really a horror game. It's more a dark game. But I really like it. I mean, the mechanics are pretty straightforward in it, especially nowadays. It's pretty simple. But I think what people like Hoeg and I would say myself too, really like about it is it's just a story. The story that it dives into, and I think kind of looking into that continuation and expansion with Alan Wake 2 is exciting.
Yeah, the atmosphere definitely, and when you finally get to the end, you'll see why people wanted a sequel, and it took 13 years to get one.
Okay, maybe I'll do that after my next playthrough, or this playthrough, I should say.
Yeah, and 13 years from now, maybe we get Anthem 2. Just saying, you never know.
Man, I'll be dead by then, but yeah.
I agree with you, Eric, as well. Eric says it kills me. There's no physical release for Alan Wake 2. I agree. I know that's the 14 of us that care about the physical release are pretty mad about that.
Not even making like a steelbook for it?
They're not making any physical thing for it.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Everybody should do that.
Wow.
Shut up.
God,
get rid of it.
What's funny is the deluxe edition of the original Alan Wake was one of my favorites because it came with the book.
Yep.
See, that's why I thought of it as chapters, Hoeg. I feel like there was a little disconnect there. The game was formatted like a TV show, but it became in a book, and the game's protagonist is a book author. And then he writes in screenplay format for some reason, like when you pick up his scripts or am I thinking of a different script writer?
He doesn't write in screenplay format, but it does have big old margins on the.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Pages.
Yeah. There's a lot of like different things.
And one of my favorite little beats of Alan Wake is that he's clearly like a schlock writer. Like he's not a gifted writer, and that's just a really nice character beat as you go through the game.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. Maybe I'll do it back to back.
Well, I think the nice thing, Dan, we were just talking about kind of like super time sinks, right, with Baldur's Gate and Starfield and stuff. Alan Wake is a game if you get into it, you could blow through that in a weekend.
You can knock it out in a weekend, and you can do the bonus episodes too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool. I don't think it's at that scary level that should put you off of it. And I'll just say again, one, Lords of the Fallen, I am ridiculously hyped for. I think Travis, you're reviewing it.
Yep.
Or should be reviewing it.
I'll be playing it in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm super, super hyped for that game. I really, really hope it delivers on the vision they have for it because it looks incredible. The only thing that always concerns me with these games is the games that really drive towards the FromSoft, Souls, Elden Ring, very rarely kind of hit to that level. So I'm hoping they deliver. We shall see. And then, of course, Super Mario Wonder on the antithesis of that almost looks incredible. Ridiculously hyped for that game. I don't think I've been this hyped for a Switch game yet. I was trying to think of a game on the Switch I love. Just 2D Mario is my jam, man, and it looks amazing. Hoeg, did you watch the 15-minute trailer on it yet, or are you still dark on it?
I told you I'm abstaining from Super Mario Wonder information.
I appreciate that. I respect it.
I'm doing the same for Alan Wake. It's our IGN first, and I'm like, nope, not gonna look at it.
I think I said that on our chat. I said I'm proud of IGN. That's great, good coverage for Alan Wake, but I don't want to know anything.
Yeah, I'm not watching it either. Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Awesome. No, play part 1 first, at least.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I got to imagine Alan Wake 2 coverage would give away some stuff from Alan Wake 1.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Maybe I won't.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, on Forza, I should be covering Forza for us formally. So more to come on that pretty soon as well. So those games are all rapidly approaching. November, another big month as well. We get Like a Dragon Gaiden. I'll make sure I have this right. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, which Dan, I know you're going to be all over that one, of course. We got Modern Warfare 3, which is not only a follow-up to the biggest kind of release of Call of Duty in its history, but it also has, the nostalgia going with the Modern Warfare 2 maps from 2009, which is cool. Flashback 2 if I have my dates right, releases of formally
I
in
played
November.
that one. Yeah.
Right.
I wrote
so
a
that's
review about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you don't know Flashback, I don't blame you. The game is like 35 years old, the original. It goes way back, but
I'll
this is
blame
kind
you.
of but this is one the old people in the house like us, the seasoned ones, played when we were kids, and it's really cool to see a sequel coming out at this point in time. We get Persona 5 Tactica, which looks really cool if you like Persona and like tactics type games, of course.
Those do seem to be requirements. Yeah.
Yes, and then Super Mario RPG comes out for the Switch as well, which is amazing to see that coming back, so many years later. So shout out to that. By the way, we also get Biomutant on the Switch.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Play it again. Play it for the first time. Play it again. Whatever.
Should run even worse.
Stop it. And then December, the only game we have in December, well, not the only game, but the major game we have in December right now, right at the start, is Avatar, actually. Frontiers of Pandora, the game that Ubisoft has been working on, obviously, for years and years now. So
will it be good?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be. It's their Far Cry game this year, so yeah, I think it'll be good.
I agree. Yeah, I think it'll. I don't know. We'll see, of course, and I give them the benefit of the doubt. But like I said a couple weeks ago, I think Ubisoft's actually been hitting it pretty well. I was very upset to hear about the cancellation, though, of Immortals 2, which is a shame.
Because they changed the name.
Well, yeah, exactly. Banishers, by the way. Banishers New Eden.
Is Banishers this year?
Yeah, it's December.
It is this year. Yeah, it is this year. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, guys, as we look back and you think about the games you've played this year so far, you think about obviously October and the games that are coming. I don't know. For me, I went back and looked. So just real quick, I'll run through these. The 2 years that jump out to people as the greatest years for gaming ever. 2007 usually holds the title. And I think there was a podcast we did a while ago where we compared 2017, which is another one of those big years, to 2007. And I think at least we decided, if my memory serves, 2007 still held the crown. But I don't know, man. I think we may actually pass it in 2023, finally, 15 or 16 years later. So 2007, though, man, when I looked back at it yet again this morning, I was like, good God, what a year. So you had Halo 3, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, BioShock, Portal, Uncharted, Mass Effect, Assassin's Creed, Crysis, God of War 2, Super Mario Galaxy, and Team Fortress 2, along with obviously many other games. What really jumps out to me, if you think about that, is BioShock, Uncharted, Mass Effect, Assassin's Creed, Super Mario Galaxy. Those are all like firsts, right? That was the start of those IPs at the time. And then, of course, you get Halo 3, Call of Duty 4, and Halo 3 and Call of Duty 4 basically reinvented the modern FPS when it comes to, those two games. And then Team Fortress 2 is still played today. It's just kind of crazy to think about what that year delivered. 2017.
It's funny. I haven't thought about 2007 before. My go-to year has in the past been 1998.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I know. I'm seasoned. I get it. That's Metal Gear Solid. That's Ocarina of Time. That's StarCraft. That's Half-Life.
Yeah.
That's what I think of in terms of best years in gaming.
Yeah. Those are some huge IPs.
I think those are great games too. I think 2007 was probably my personal, but I think 2023 beats it, and it's not even particularly close, to be honest. I think this year's insane, but also the gods have sort of conspired with the whole delays from COVID and everything hitting all at once and all that. Like, it's just a very freakish year. But I would say like this year just wipes out all of the other ones. Like it's crazy. It's also crazy how good of a year it is for all types of different players. Like if you like car games or indie games or RPGs or fighting games and just everything, like every category got coverage, and it's ridiculous how much it is. Even if you liked Super Mario RPG, this is a great year. Like, it's just crazy. So it's really cool.
It's funny because I try to accommodate for my own tilt on these things. I'm a big RPG narrative guy, and that's just had a huge year, obviously. But yeah, I don't think it's close either. 1998 is my closest, but yeah, I wrote the list of what I would go through for 2023, and it's like Hogwarts, Star Wars. I combo up as the movie games, just really ridiculously strong movie games. Tears of the Kingdom, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy, Pikmin 4, Baldur's Gate 3, Starfield, into Cyberpunk, Spider-Man, Alan
Mario
Wake
Wonder.
2. Yes, and I mean, like that's crazy talk.
Yeah.
So
It
you
does.
might not have as many things starting as you did in 2007, and that's a good no, Danes. But I think this year we might not ever see a year like it ever again. But I do think, especially for people that like stories and RPGs and choice, this is ridiculous. Final Fantasy 16, Baldur's Gate 3, and Starfield are games of the year for me personally. Any year they release, unless they all release against each other.
Yeah, and Diablo 4 I'd add in there for me. But I think
love Diablo 4, just not on the narrative side.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I think in terms of breadth, and we've talked about it before, but it seems though it has culminated in this year being the year it is, right? Was COVID and a lot of the delays and things got pushed to this year that should have been out last year or the year before, and it feels like we're just getting this dump of just incredible development all at once, and it's pretty amazing. I went back and looked at 2017 as well, which is another amazing year. But again, I don't think it stacks up to this year. So you get Resident Evil 7, which was, remember, like the refreshing of Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
You got Nier Automata. You got Destiny 2 launched. Breath of the Wild. Prey, which is one of my goats. Super Mario Odyssey. Cuphead. Fortnite launched 2017. Assassin's Creed Origins, Hellblade, Little Nightmares, Wolfenstein 2, Forza 7, For Honor. There's a lot of big games on there. Some of quite a few that are still played today. But in terms of 2023, I mean, it doesn't stack up.
Close. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, for like I said earlier, like for somebody that has narrowed down his, what he plays to, I thought were. Like last year, I was just like, I put like 3 games, and one of which was like Hitman 3. And this year, I don't have the time. This year, there's just so much where I'm putting a game like Starfield kind of on the back burner for all this other stuff that's out right now. It's insane to me.
Actually, sorry to interrupt you, Dan. I was going to say that's probably one of the most salient points right there is when a game like Starfield comes out and people are saying, I need to wait to play it because there's too many other things to play. I mean, that almost says it all right there.
That's insane to me. I mean, I remember 2017, 2018 was good too. That was like Red Dead and God of War, the re-release. Spider-Man came out that year. Odyssey came out that year. Octopath Traveler came out that year. That was a good year too. There's been several of them like that, but I think this one just takes the cake. Now, do you guys worry that everything is like hitting this year? What is 2024 going to look like?
A little bit, but
live in the now.
I mean, I'm living it now. Trust me.
I'm a little
curious.
concerned about it, but there's also like studios that have not really said anything, and some of those are allegedly having a state of play this week. Like Sony's been awfully quiet, and they're working on games, and they're probably going to start showing those things soon.
Yeah, it's the best. It's worth noting. It's the best year maybe in gaming history, as we're talking about, and Sony really hasn't participated so much.
Yeah.
Very true.
And they have great studios and make great games. So there's who knows? They might come out and surprise us. We also haven't heard from Rockstar a whole lot, and they're working on GTA 6. Like I think there's some big stuff in the pipe that we don't even know about that could come out next year. Some of it's going to come out next year, certainly. But yeah, I think the future's looking real bright for gamers. I will say it's notably, I have sort of held myself to the standard of completing every single game that was nominated for any Game of the Year award in any category.
Good luck,
in previous years. Yeah, I'm screwed. Like it's not even at previous years. I've been able to do it kind of easily, and like last year I did it by the skin of my teeth, but I made it. This year, lol, it's like not even close. I'm screwed. I mean, nominations haven't happened yet, but I already know like I'm screwed. There's no way.
I honestly think that's what's so fun about us doing the Game of the Year nominations when we did it a couple months ago, because as the year goes on, we look back at that like almost worse and worse. It was it's such a year for games. It's very hard to see what's gonna kind of bubble to the top. I've had people ask me the last couple of weeks, like, "Oh, how you enjoying Armored Core 6?" And where are you in Baldur's Gate? And I'm like, I'm nowhere. I just don't. There's not enough time. There's just not enough time to play all these games. And I think no matter really, Dan, to get back to your question, even if 2024 were lax compared to this year, which I really don't think it'll be. But even if it was, there's so many games from this year that I'm going to need to catch up on and spend time on. I mean, it won't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
All
I'm
my
kind of hoping
Suikoden's
we
got
get a
moved.
little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you go back, you'll see me say I was really looking forward to like the Suikoden remasters and the Eiyuden Chronicles. Those all got moved out of this year, so that's next year for me.
Yep. Well, did you see Alone in the Dark got moved too? They were like, yeah, there's too much to play in October. We're just moving our game.
Yep.
And they just moved it to January. They're like, we're out.
They're making another Alone in the Dark.
Yeah, it's a whole reboot with what's his name? Two famous actors, the guy from Stranger Things, and
it's got Jodie Comer, and
Jodie
it's
Comer.
got Sheriff Hopper. What's
Hopper.
his name?
I don't remember his real name.
I don't know actors' names.
Someone will tell us. Someone tell us.
Someone will tell us in the chat. Sheriff Hopper is in the new Alone in the Dark.
David something, I can't remember his name.
Harper.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
David
Good
Harper,
job,
yeah.
Dan.
Yeah.
Describe your sex life in one video game. Alone in the Dark.
Alone in the Dark is the original progenitor of survival horror. It's not Resident Evil.
It's true. Very true. What was I going to say? Someone, I think you did, Travis, or mentioned Grand Theft Auto 6. Can you imagine how big that's going to be when that game drops? Like, good God.
I'm excited for it. I love GTA 5. Goated game.
Man, that game is going to make so much money on day one. It's going to be mind-boggling. So anyway, yeah, I think I think we're all kind of living in heaven, and to these guys' point, which we'll reiterate, is like it doesn't even matter what type of game you love. There's something, you've got more than you can kind of enjoy right now. It's amazing. So I'm really looking forward, though. Like, as good as the year has been, and it's been incredible, as we've said, I'm still really looking forward to the next several weeks, because the games coming out for me, there's so many games coming out, which are like I will love, from Mortal Kombat 1 to Lies of P to Phantom Liberty and the Cyberpunk reboot to Forza to Lords of the Fallen to Super Mario Wonder to Alan Wake 2. It's just it's unbelievable.
2. We're getting a sequel to Alan Wake. This would be the spotlight game of my year in other years.
Yeah. It would be the spotlight for a number of reasons. I mean, people have clamored for an Alan Wake sequel for a long time. So
Alan
very
Wake
cool.
1 had the unfortune of releasing at the same day as a Rockstar game. And it didn't make the sales they wanted, and Xbox kind of canceled the enterprise. And Remedies wanted to make Alan Wake 2 for as long as I can remember. So this is exciting.
Came out. Yeah, it was a very weird release window. I feel like I was the only one playing that game at that time.
I remember everybody walking out of the Best Buy with
Heavy Rain and stuff.
Red Dead Redemption and Alan Wake.
Yeah, so just a note to any developer, don't release your game alongside a Rockstar game. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah. Be smart like Baldur's Gate 3 and scoop Starfield by moving your game up a month, and then everybody
They did, man. That was
they scooped real hard.
Ballsy as hell too. I was like, look at you guys.
They got in there before people got addicted to Starfield, and I feel like some people have not even tried Starfield because Baldur's Gate is so good.
Some people, we got one on the panel.
Literally.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've got a buddy like that. Like, he's so deep into Baldur's Gate. He was stoked about Starfield, but he's sort of like, eh. And actually, he played Starfield recently, finally, and he was just like, honestly, Baldur's Gate is so much better. I'm just gonna.
It's a different flavor. It's like going to a different restaurant.
Different.
You gotta make the transition fully.
Yep, you really do.
Well, that's 2023. It's nuts. We're all kind of living our best gaming lives, and it's going to be a lot of fun conversations for the weeks to come, for sure. I'm really looking forward to it. And with Travis reviewing some of these games, I'm reviewing at least one or two of them. We'll have a lot.
You doing Lords of the Fallen? Because it's got 3-player co-op.
I was going to, but the problem is Forza's kind of in that same kind of timeline, and I really want to spend a lot of time on Forza, so I'm prioritizing Forza over it. Yeah. Sadly. So I
honestly,
doubt it.
Payday 3 is another game that would have been on like the top most games I'm hyped for in a normal year, because I love Payday 2 so much. And this year it's like, I mean, I'm going to make time for it. I'm going to be playing it today, but
Travis, we're going to talk offline, because I want you to sell me on Payday as a game, because I just never been able to get into it.
I don't know if it's a Hoeg game.
Okay, that's
to be
fair.
honest. Yeah.
And we're moving on.
I don't know if I can sell it to you, but I really like it as just a fun, like, turn your brain off and go rob a bank with the boys type game. That's just, who doesn't want to rob a bank with their loved ones?
Just do that in real life and then go play Alan Wake 2 afterwards. You know what I mean?
Good call.
Yeah, fair.
Profit.
All right, let's catch up on a couple super chats that have been sitting out here.
All righty. Easel Games, $4.99 super chat, having a better weekends. Shout out to the Bitcast, also hyped for American football today. That will see many B2s flying over the stadiums today.
That was crazy.
That was so low.
I didn't realize. Oh, sorry, Dan.
No, I watched it, and we have what is it? Andrews Air Force
Base. Yeah,
maybe it's something else. I don't know. Maybe it's not Andrews. Maybe I'm thinking of something.
It's I know what you mean though, but anyway,
in Missouri. It's one of the big. It's where the B2s are basically launched from in the country, and that thing every once in a while here you'll get like that huge roar of like a plane flying a little bit too low, and you're just like, damn, my whole house is shaking. This is insane. So but yeah, and I love that stuff.
Well,
football, man.
I was gonna say that I
do flyover of the first game of the NFL football season on Thursday night.
And I didn't know that, and I saw someone post on Twitter, which I had no idea, that the B2 is the most expensive aircraft ever developed in history, and there's only 21 of them ever made. So apparently, it was kind of a big deal that they had one flying over the stadium on Thursday. So I believe. And Googleman says it's got nothing on the SR-71, which I believe is called the Blackbird. I had a friend who was really into planes and used to tell me about all these things. But anyway, yes, thank you, Easel Games. Good to see you, man. Having a better weekends. Yeah, we're getting there. I won't go into it on the show, of course, but last week was tough for me. Yeah, we're working through it. We're good. Thank you for that. Googleman.
Super sticker.
Yes, his super sticker just said game over. I think he was referencing the fact that 2023 as the best year in games ever. It was game over. There's no debate to be had
over,
about
man. Game over.
Or maybe referencing Alien that you said, Travis. Either one.
Both. It applies to both.
Applies to both. And Siddharth is back.
Yeah, with another 100 rupees. Should the game of the year this year have like 10 nominations? The year certainly deserves
should have
it.
15.
There's probably enough room for at least that many. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Nominate them all. Anyone that deserves it, nominate it. That's how I feel on this one. But the nominations happen because the jurors, the committee that is included, they get to like nominate games, and I'm not sure if they have like a threshold for the minimum, but it'll depend who's on that panel. And I think they're all allowed to nominate one or two. I'm not really sure.
I was gonna say for the VGA specifically, could they? I mean, obviously they could, but do you think there ever be a world where they increase the number from 6?
I hope so. I don't know why it's been 6. It might just be the panel size, or the fact that there's been a lot of consensus in the past. Like, let's say you get 12 panelists and like their overlap is 80% because they all really liked the same games. But if that happens this year, I do not think it's going to be the same, that ubiquitous. I think it'll be like, there's not going to be a consensus at all. I think it'll just be a whole bunch of different games getting nominated, and some people will be like, oh, this one got snubbed, that one got snubbed. And then players vote from there.
There's going to be a lot of people that say a game got snubbed. I mean, there's just
for sure. There's no way your game is going to get all the games that you want to get nominated are going to be on that list. Especially if they keep it to 6, I'm just going to be like, this is useless.
I mean, if you
like only putting 6, that's just I don't even know where to begin, dude.
Just shrink it down. Just take like from August to October. Through October, and just take that. I mean, you're going to have
game
more
of
than
the quarter.
6. Yeah, game of the 3-month span.
Game of Q3.
Right. I mean, it's just it's nuts, man.
No, I think you're right, though. I mean, I do think there is a risk of not including something worthwhile. I think the one game that I really have loved this year a lot that I don't see in conversation as much is Diablo 4. And I think
that's why I didn't put it on my list.
It better be on there.
I don't think it'll get nominated because I know the people who are on these panels, and they do not play ARPGs, with one notable exception, Ryan McCaffrey, who might actually screw me on that because he said it's his favorite game this year.
Oh, good. I'm DMing Ryan later.
Yeah, so he might actually screw me over because he's almost always on the panel. So
Ryan, you got to do me a solid, dude. Be as loud as you can about Diablo, because otherwise I'm screwed.
Whiteman Air Force Base. That's what it was. Thank you, Kelly C. Whiteman
Air
Force Base. Whiteman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's really aptly named.
Yeah.
Thanks, Travis.
It's in the middle of Missouri, man. What do you want?
No, good.
So shouldn't it be Meth Air Force Base? No. Okay.
Jeez, you're just alienating the whole state. The whole stage.
Oh my
City,
god.
St. Louis, we're sorry, man.
Yeah, it's okay. We live here. We enjoy it. Trust me.
We're close.
Eric asks, so what do you think will be the biggest
We'll get
snub?
snubbed. Diablo 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Shut up.
Diablo 4 has a shot of not being nominated, and it is the best game that wouldn't be.
Yep, I think Diablo 4 will get snubbed because I don't think that the people who are on the review panel are like that type of gamer. Just from what I've seen historically, with
me
Brandon
personally-
Caffrey being the one exception. Yeah.
For me personally, the one that I'm positive I can bet on is I don't think Final Fantasy 16 will show up, and that is one of my
Not at
favorite
all.
experiences of the year.
I don't know, man.
I think
What about? I don't know. I think Resident Evil 4 could be up there.
Oh, that's not going to get nominated, but I think it shouldn't. It's an old game.
Yeah, I'd have to.
No. I know. You always say that, but that's not how they do it. So it doesn't matter that you think it's an old game. That's not how they do it. So it's one of the highest rated games of the year. It's one of the greatest games of all time in a lot of people's book. It should be nominated.
Right. But you're saying if it's a snub, and I'm saying
snub. Agree.
I'm saying I
Agree.
disagree with that description. It's
I
not
know.
a snub.
I know.
I would say Hogwarts Legacy. I think it's better.
Oh,
Also
that's
fair.
getting snubbed. That's
that's
guaranteed.
100%.
It's like not even close.
That would be my biggest snub because it's still up there, probably top 3 this year. I still love that game.
I can't separate Hogwarts from Jedi Survivor, so I can't.
It's kind of I mean, that's.
I
fair.
think one of you had Jedi Survivor on your list too, if I recall correctly.
God,
I have to look.
it.
I have to
Dan.
look.
I think it was
No
Dan.
way. No
Was it?
chance.
I
I went all like practical. I was
might
like,
be
even
me.
games that I don't play, I'm like, okay, this will lay up there. I think it was I had Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, and then Diablo 4 for sure.
I can't find the document now.
No,
Good.
okay.
It's
I
all
thought you were
over.
saying-
Nobody's playing Oxenfree 2.
Yeah, but
I
Hogwarts
have it.
Legacy got snubbed before it was even out. I don't think that game's gonna
Yeah,
get
it was
nominated for anything.
It's still
Even
getting
if it had a category for best licensed game, I don't think it would get nominated. That's how hard it's gonna get snubbed.
No. I think I had Final Fantasy 16 on there.
I have
There's no
Final
one
Fantasy 16 on there too.
Ooh,
I think it'll be fine. I really don't think that one's not. That one's gonna be.
It's
on there
not
for
gonna
sure.
get nominated. Nah.
Sure will.
Oh god, I'm gonna go like 2 for 6 and get wrecked. It's gonna
No.
be
I think
bad.
you are. I think Ains has the weakest list. I think he's gonna get destroyed. I don't think I'm gonna win, but I think I'm not gonna get last place too.
Yeah, I kind of went what was typical of past years, and that may hurt me this year. Honestly, I don't
That's
know where I
what I
put it. I'll find it, but anyway.
I think one that might be on
He
there.
lost the document, guys. Now
No,
that
I
his
have it. I
list
have
is
it.
falling apart.
I forget what I named it. I don't know. Oh, well.
He deleted the episode on accident too. That was weird.
Oops.
Oh, if at the rate the list is going, I may lose the list in the episode and pull it off of YouTube, so we can't revisit it. Anyway, I think Hogwarts is probably a good call there for sure. Thank you, Eric, for the super chat and GK Bowls.
Game of quarter 3. LOL. I feel like you could pick any month of 23 and fill the roster. Great show, guys. That's almost true.
Absolutely true.
Except for maybe July, where Oxenfree 2 came out.
January, maybe.
Kinda-
I feel like
July's got
January was-
Pikmin.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
that's
So
one.
July then. So July.
Yeah,
I got it.
July.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
I think
Remnant 2's out there too.
Pikmin 4 is super strong.
It is.
Hey, Game Awards bet. There it is. All right, just to refresh memories. We all have Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh,
we
yeah.
all have Starfield.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only 2 we all share.
Cool.
Travis has Star Wars.
It was.
That was a stupid move.
Shut up. Wait till you hear Ains's list, okay? Mine's
Shut
not
up.
that bad.
I actually didn't bet. It was host is excluded. The other 3 are.
Yeah. Okay.
So okay, to run it down, we all have Tears of the Kingdom. We all have Starfield. Then I have Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Diablo 4, and Final Fantasy 16. I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Dan has Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2, Diablo 4 as well, but you have Baldur's Gate 3 instead of RE4, so you're better than me. Hoeg has Sea of Stars, Spider-Man 2, Diablo 4, and Baldur's Gate 3. So we're only one game different so far. And then Travis has Street Fighter 6,
Oof.
Dave the Diver, Star Wars and Baldur. Hey, your list is just as bad as mine.
Wait,
You're just in as much trouble as me.
Hold on. I have Baldur's Gate on there, so at minimum,
whoa. But you have Dave the Diver, so you cancel yourself
your
out.
Entire list. You didn't even have one that seems likely. I have at least
No. No, you don't.
You have a fighting game, dude. That's a dumb move. They never. It's like picking Forza.
I'm not gonna lose. For everything I'm gonna lose, listen to Ian's list again.
I feel better now, Travis. I feel better.
Come on.
I feel better.
My list is not wrong.
I think you should lose a bonus point if you don't have the eventual winner.
I think Dan's winning. I really do. Looking at this
I think so too. Just to be clear, I think Dan has the best list. Yeah. But I don't think your list is any stronger than mine, Dan. I have BG3 on it. You don't.
No, I agree. I don't have BG3, right. But your other three, Star Wars, Dave the Diver, and Street Fighter, I could see all not being there.
Me too. But I can see all four of yours that aren't Starfield.
I just need one. I
think you're not going to get any of those on that list.
By the way,
my list is bad. Don't get me wrong. We bet so long ago. Who knew that this was going to turn out this way? But
oh damn it. And by the way, Tide says, Ains, you're forgetting the list is now documented on 2 channels. Damn it, I forgot about that. I think we said, remind me, but I think we said we need to come up with a tiebreaker, and I think we still need to figure out what that is, because we do need a tiebreaker one way or another.
Well, I definitely think you should get
Starfield might not get nominated either.
You should lose to a tie if one of you had the eventual winner and the other didn't.
I think so.
That's a good tiebreaker. Yeah. Okay, I like it.
That's fine.
I have mine, so I have a feeling that's going to win, and I am happy with that.
I will say this: as good as BG3 is, as highly as it's rated, I would still be surprised if it wins the Video Game Award Game of the Year. I don't think it will.
I think it has a pretty good chance.
I would have said that about a month ago, and I would have agreed with you. And that's not from playing it; that's from just the reception it's gotten. I think I don't know, man. Maybe not win I guess maybe win, but it'll definitely be on there. So I'm pretty.
No, I agree with that. I don't think it'll win, but and that's not taking away from the game. Obviously, I just think the type of game. I still think, things like Tears of the Kingdom just have, it's a different
it's got that
kind
Zelda
of feel.
Cachet.
Yeah.
Man, what are you gonna do, man? Can't do anything.
But Travis, man, you made me feel better. I'm glad I pulled that up. Thanks for having such a shitty list. I feel better.
Bro, yours is worse. I think you're gonna lose, dude.
What's funny is I think if you go back to the taping of that bet, I think I went first and I said Baldur's Gate 3, and Ains has like a physical reaction. Like,
he does.
That's
I did. You're 100% right. And you know why? Because I played that game in early access when it first went into early access in 2020, and I thought it was going to be a good game, but my mind went to a CRPG in a SEA of AAA blockbusters is just not going to be nominated, and it blew everyone's expectations away, and now I'm screwed. So it happens. It happens. Thank you, GK Bowles, for the super chat. Good laughs there. And Tao.
Hello, Bitcasters. Thanks for the $5, Tao. Are you guys gonna talk about the E3 cancellation for 24 and parting ways with Reed Pop?
It never existed.
Well, technically, it has not been canceled. They are claiming that they're still going to do E3. They're insisting that they are. What you're referring to is that the venue holder in LA said that E3 is not happening there, and so all that confirms is that they're not using the LA location as their venue. Maybe it'll be fully digital, but yeah, my guess is that it's canceled. Eventually, since they've done this before. But yeah, technically,
it does also confirm that their organizational infrastructure looks to be working about as well as it has. So
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So Tao, I didn't really have it on the list for that reason, because there's not a lot of good information there other than the fact that they've parted ways with Repop. So E3, I mean, we've talked about it, right? E3 is just in trouble as it is. ESA doesn't know what the hell they're doing with it, and we'll see if it ever kind of comes back in some form. But when they tried to do it digital, it sucked. When they tried to bring it back last year, they canceled it 3 weeks prior. Like, people had flights booked. They're a mess with it. So, but Tao, good to see you, brother. Hope to see you on Mortal Kombat 1 here soon. All right, and shout out to Midnight Dreary for gifting 5 memberships over on the Seasoned Gaming side. Super appreciative, Midnight. Thank you so much. Always appreciate your generosity with the channel memberships. Thank you. Only other thing, I was going to talk about Tokyo Game Show, but I know we're coming up on football time for you guys. We're trying to keep it short here, so we'll talk about Tokyo Game Show next week. We'll probably have more info anyway, because it actually happens the week after. The only thing I want to touch on real quick is it's been pretty much confirmed that the Switch 2, or whatever the Nintendo's new console is after the Switch, was shown behind doors to some people, major sites, journalists, etc., at Gamescom. So I wanted to ask you guys, as you think about the Switch, and you think about, and I know, Hoeg, you're always good here because of family playing the Switch and how much you generally enjoy the Switch. What are you looking for out of a Switch 2 or a Switch successor? Do you believe it should be as simple as just a more powerful, nicer Switch and keep all the same functionality it has today? Or are you looking for something new?
No, I think it should be a Super Switch. I think it should be a more powerful Switch that keeps the form factor, has backward compatibility, and just keeps rolling on with more power from what they've discovered here with the Switch market. I love my Switch, and I love to play very specific kinds of experiences on the Switch, somewhat because of the power. I play a lot of 2D games. I play a lot of pixel art games on the Switch, but it's just such a lovely thing to take on vacation and be able to play games on a TV really easily, that I think they should just do it again, essentially. Now, historically, that's not what Nintendo does, so we'll see.
True. Very true.
I hope it's something we never saw coming, personally. I don't think they will do that. I think they finally found their niche of what their the overlap of things that they've always done well that fans seem to really like. But I kind of hope that they just Nintendo us, and it's like, they're selling us like a pogo stick with a screen on it or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, because people point to the Wii U after the Wii and as a severe drop off, which it was. But what I point to counter that is the Switch is the evolution of the Wii U, right? And they kind of perfected the model that they were trying to go to. Not perfected, but they brought it to the mass market they were hoping to, right? That the Wii U didn't. And the Switch has been so successful that I just don't see how you leave that behind. The one thing, of course, that I think personally is a mandate that it's Nintendo, so they don't. You can never say mandate with Nintendo, but it's backwards compatibility.
I really love some of the rumors about like DLSS implementation and things like that, because I think that might be where Nintendo zigs rather than some of the things we might worry about with pogo sticks or cardboard or lack of backward compatibility.
Yeah.
We don't think Nintendo can compete on hardware because historically they haven't wanted to, but it's possible they could compete on the software side instead and give you something that's crazy in a form factor that's like the Switch. So I think, at least when I read those articles, I said, oh, okay, that would be kind of Nintendo weird, but in a way that makes sense for market domination. So that's my hope right now.
Okay. Yeah, and Katie says much better Joy-Con design. I would agree with that.
Can't be worse.
Yeah.
It could be. They could just give you the Nintendo 64 controller designed for a three-handed creature.
You're going to get defenders coming out of here for that one, but I tend to
go for it, man. Defend that three-handed controller. I'd love to see it.
I dislike the GameCube controller more than I dislike this N64 controller. But no, I think the Joy-Cons just having...
Whoa! That's crazy.
Travis, are you trying to tell me you don't like doing 3D games with buttons? Are you crazy?
Yeah, it's weird. It's real weird. It's weird that as a left-handed person, I was holding the controller like this while another part weighed down. As a kid, my tiny hands having a hard time. Why is this designed for 3 hands? I don't know.
It's the N64 controller that had like the octagonal little divots for the joystick, right? I hated that.
And the trigger was in the back, which actually...
the Z button.
Yeah. I love that if you added the rumble pack, it made the problem of the weird weight and unwieldiness of the controller even worse. Yeah, what an insane design for a controller.
I really just never liked the GameCube controller. But
that's crazy to me. That's like their best controller, I think.
No, the Switch Pro controller is their best controller. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really count that. That feels like they just Me Too'd Xbox and PlayStation.
Well, that's a weird. Don't know. If that's
right. Yes, I forgot that has two terms now. Yeah. They canceled them. Yeah.
My Switch Pro controller is my favorite controller in the house. So they might have copied, but they did it well.
The Switch the Switch Pro controller is excellent. Yes, it's one of my favorites.
Except for the fact that they decided that let's move the X and Y buttons and just make them. I mean, just come on, Nintendo. I mean, that was just unnecessary.
Now, wait a minute.
Backward.
You can blame Xbox too if you want. I mean,
they were there first.
We need to come to an agreement.
No,
I tend to agree that there should be some kind of
like standard
consortium that gets together and says, you know what? Y is at the top.
Yes.
A and B, X at the side.
Right.
We all just need to agree on this because you just remember you're playing the Switch and not on your Xbox.
That's
like,
the problem.
Y is over there.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, in games like Tears of the Kingdom, let me remap the buttons properly.
Well, you can't do that on the Switch
I
software
kind of
itself.
Japanese style, though.
Yeah.
I would argue
that was fine. So, like you can. That's the way to do it. Is basically go in and just switch on the software from the Switch end and.
Sure, but then it's universal, right?
Well, that's fine. I'm totally.
Well, not necessarily because sometimes
for me it is. That's
no, because if Nintendo says B's jump and then you have it switched on the OS, then you have another problem.
Yeah, that happens with the Steam Deck when you tell it I'm using a Switch controller. And you're like, no, that's not what I meant.
It's the same thing with the Dual Shock. I'm not sure.
You know what's weird is I've never had that problem. When I play a Switch game, my brain automatically switches the A and the B button in my head. I just organically move over to that. But it's only when I'm holding a Switch or the Joy-Con.
It's the Y button that really throws me because Y at the top makes sense to me as the top of the Y axis. Mm-hmm. And then you switch those and I go, nope, that's exactly wrong.
That's fair. They read their books backwards. What do you want, Hoeg? This is what you get.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah, just bring Sega back. Sega will solve all this. By the way, shout out to the 24-year anniversary of Dreamcast yesterday, by the way. $99.99. So
I was working video game retail for that launch.
Were you?
I was.
Nice. I lined up at KB Toys. I still have my box and receipt. I still have my original Dreamcast box and receipt from that day. And
I remember unboxing Sonic Adventures. Oh, yes.
Yeah, man.
Great Those were the days.
Great game.
I couldn't afford that, but I had friends.
Couldn't afford it. You were 24 years ago. You were what, 6?
Yeah.
I hope you couldn't afford it.
I had a job.
So you want me to be poor?
Travis, I will point out this guy is not poor. He's not poor. I promise you, he's not poor.
I wish I would take his physical appearance if I could not be poor.
I mean, he's an IGN slave laborer. He works as long as I've heard anybody work to get those IGN bucks.
That's true.
Fair enough. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Chat, you've been awesome today as always. As I shut it out, thanks for all the support and the engagement last week. I hope you enjoyed this week, and we will continue to joke about our Game Awards bet as we get closer and closer to that date, and obviously talk more about the games releasing this upcoming week. So next week, like I said, we'll be able to talk about the Crew Motorfest, Lies of P, Mortal Kombat 1. We'll have a lot of new games to discuss next week and reviews, so we'll get into that. And I've said this, I think, for like 3 weeks in a row now, but in all seriousness, Cast Co-op is coming back this week for real this time. Me, Joe, and Luke will be, I think, broadcasting Tuesday, so keep an eye for that Tuesday night. But that's it for the Seasoned Gaming side. Travis, what you got?
Yeah, you can watch or read my review of Lies of P on Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific. If you don't want to do that, you can also listen to me talk about Lies of P on Podcast Beyond, which I'm going to be on Wednesday morning.
The big show.
Big show. I'm hanging out with Brian Altano and Max Scoville.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's gonna be good. I'm actually going into the studio in San Francisco to do that. So that should be fun. Get to hang out with those guys.
Love those guys, dude. Brian is awesome. Shout out to Brian.
Brian is a goated human being. He's such a cool guy. So I'll be on the show with them on Wednesday, and we're going to be talking primarily about Lies of P. They're also going to grill me about why I review so many games and why so many of them are bad, and because they're just interested in that. So it should be a pretty fun podcast. And then I've got a couple previews going live. I guess the big one is Airport Simulator, I think, is this week. The big one. the one that's the one that's lifting embargo the soonest, I guess I should say. And yeah, if you can watch all my stuff on IGN.com. I talk about Destiny on the Last Word podcast every week, and also you should watch Hoeg's channel. That's my suggestion.
Well, that's your segue, Hoeg.
That's very nice of you. You can see Travis on at least one episode on my channel. But yes, as I mentioned at the top of this show, we brought Hangouts and Headlines back, which is our morning show where we go over one or more articles that I have found interesting or interestingly written for different reasons. And then we hang out with various people in the community. So if that sounds at all interesting to you, pop on in. If it doesn't sound interesting to you, tell someone who it would interest. And that'll help us have numbers here on YouTube. YouTube loves those numbers. And I am very happy to be back doing that. I'm also getting to a place where I think virtual legality might come back a little bit more often if I can work out that system. I've got a system that works but takes like 6 times as long, so it might be that we're getting to a place where I can do it the old way pretty soon. So hoping for more and more videos on my channel pretty soon, and I'm having a great week. Thanks to all of you people in the community that popped in for that Hangouts and Headlines return. So thank you so much to all of you.
That's awesome, Hoeg. Great to see it. We got a late super chat from Siddharth. He just simply says, great conversation, guys. Glad to catch it live today. Thank you, Siddharth. Always appreciate it. Glad to have you with us. We love seeing, I look at the analytics on where people view us from, and it's pretty wild. Like all over the world, people are hanging out with us. So it's really, really cool. Thank you for that. And Rob says, 7 out of 10 show for me. Fair. Very fair. Very fair, Rob. We're going to get out of here. I know Dan and Hoeg are excited about their foosballs. I hope that everyone been looking forward to it. You enjoy it. Have a good day today. Have a good week of gaming. We'll be back next Sunday, as always, with a whole bunch of new games to talk about, which I think is the theme the rest of the year. But thank you, as always, for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We'll see you then. Peace.